This is the Patriots pregame show, fueled by Duncan.
He's throwing it toward Thornton, left corner of the end zone, caught! Touchdown New England!
The Patriots pregame show is your source for all the news and information before every game.
He took it to the house! Again!
There we
and
go!
The Patriots take the lead!
With Matt Smith, Mike Dussault, Paul Perillo, and Tamara Brown.
And the Patriots have won their 6th Super Bowl title.
Patriots Nation, welcome to the Patriots pregame show, fueled by Duncan.
And good evening, everybody. Live inside Gillette Stadium, it's time now for the Patriots pregame show, fueled by Duncan. Matt Smith, Paul Perillo, Tamara Brown, Mike Dussault. Welcome aboard for week number 3, to kick off week number 3 with a little Thursday night football presented by Amazon Prime, where the New England Patriots are traveling to the Jersey Meadowlands to take on their rival New York Jets in the Jets home opener. Great division game to kick off week 3 this week.
It is. How common is it, though, for a team to have their first home opener on Thursday night? Seems kind of strange.
Seems a little odd.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the 2 games on the road is odd, because I think that happens frequently. Yeah. But you'd think that they'd be walking into a bit of a hornet's nest with, this being the home opener for the Jersey Jets. Tamara, you're saying maybe not so much. We can get tickets if we want.
Good tickets are available.
Good seats
we can
still
hop
available.
in the car and, still have great seats to the game, which I think is surprising. Because
I think that's really surprising.
to have, hopefully the second chance to see Aaron Rodgers in his debut with the Jets, hopefully not 4 snaps in getting hurt, but, I would be at the game, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Is he going to run out with the flag again?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of interest because of that. I think Rodgers and, the fact that they've got a win under their belt, they seem to be making a little progress here and things like that. I would assume that it's going to be pretty lively down there.
Yeah.
I
hope there's some juice.
Yeah, I think so.
Is Fireman Ed still around? Is that still a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was. I think there was a divorce.
Retired for a little while when
but
they
I think
were really
he's back.
bad.
I think he's back on board.
He's back. All right.
I think he's back on board.
Good for them. They need him.
Yeah. So it's a big game for the Patriots. Can they get back on track on a short week and clean up some of the things? I think the head coach talked about cleaning up some of the P's and Q's. Can they clean up enough of those P's and Q's to beat the Jets on the road tonight? That's really, can they do it on a short week, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a game that is going to, in my opinion, shape up just like, I think there's probably going to be about 14 games just like this.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriots are going to want to run the ball and lean on their defense, just like Gerard Mayo said all summer. And when you do those things, generally the score stays down and it's close.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're not big on the Jets. Are you in prove it to me mode?
No, I think the Jets are pretty good, but I don't think they're explosive.
Mm-mm.
So I think that in general, I think the Patriots defense is pretty good. So they should be able to keep the score within check. If Aaron Rodgers comes out and plays like he did pre-injury, then that's a different story. But, I mean, I'm not expecting that.
Yeah.
I'm expecting him to be rusty.
Have you seen enough of him to think that have you seen enough of him to think that he looks rusty or looks like he's still trying to work through?
He looks to me like a guy who's not comfortable with his health, and he's getting the ball out really quickly. I thought both games, I saw more of the San Francisco game than I did the Tennessee. I just saw kind of highlights against Tennessee. But ball's coming out lightning fast. A lot of short stuff. If they want to get Mike Williams involved in this game and he gets, 5 or 6 catches, that's a different story. Then they're going to be knocking on the door of 30 points. I don't expect that to happen, though. I think he looks like he doesn't want anybody around his legs. He's a little, I think, squirrely in the pocket.
I like that, squirrely.
Getting the ball out really quick, and I think that plays into the Patriots' hands.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they've started off really slow, but I feel like they're a team, obviously, that you have to respect through the entire fourth quarter, that you can't just do what the Patriots did last week and give the ball over to the other team and allow them to come back, tie it, and go into overtime. So, Aaron Rodgers is the type of guy who can close out a game in the fourth quarter. So even if the Jets do get off to a slow start and it comes down to the fourth quarter, you can't give it back to him and allow him to go down and do what the Seahawks did last week.
Yeah, I just say I have no feel for this game tonight. There's too many factors. Not to say that I'm locked in on this one. I know exactly how it's going to go.
Like what, Mike? I
think there's so many factors for the Patriots missing Juwan Bentley, missing their left tackle, maybe having to start a rookie at left tackle. Echo everything these guys said about the Jets, though. I think Aaron Rodgers looks a little old and doesn't look like he wants to get hit anymore. I really like Breece Hall. There's just so many different threads that, like, I like the Jets for this. I like the Patriots a little bit for their running game against this. I feel like the only thing is what Paul said. I think it's going to be close.
Yeah,
That's
and
all
I'll
I know.
give you one.
And-
Like Mike says, there's a lot of things that you just can't get a read on. The Patriots have run the ball extremely well in the 2 games. The Jets have given up a lot of rushing yards in the 2 games. But one of those games against San Francisco, they got shredded. The other game, they were actually really good against the run, but the numbers look like they weren't
Because it's a 2-week sample size.
because Will Levis had 4 scrambles for 38 yards. So you take that. That's not necessarily run defense. It's not Lamar Jackson runs.
Yeah.
He's scrambling around and he's picking up yards. But when they ran conventionally to the running backs, they averaged under 4 yards a carry. If the Patriots are under 4 yards a carry tonight, they're probably going to be hard pressed to get 180 yards like they have been. And I think they have to get, over 150 anyway to stay competitive.
So that's
Yeah.
the big question, I think, offensively for me looking at this game is the Jets know they're going to want to run it. The Patriots are going to want to run it. Do they have to come out and basically telegraph that and say, we're going to run it. Let's see if you can stop it before they do something different? Or will they try to mask that a little bit with a little play action pass and maybe try to see if they can stop that, slow the Jets defense down a little bit and then, go to the running game?
I mean, for me, it starts with, is C.J. Mosley playing? That's
Right.
a huge part of it. He's an excellent player. He diagnoses quick. He gets in the backfield quick. If he's in there, then that's point Jets, So it's just, I'm kind of going around and around and around today thinking about this game, and I watched a little of the Titans game against the Jets as well. They have playmakers, but they also have some places where they're inconsistent, and especially on a short week with some older players along their offensive line. How are those, like, how's Tyron Smith feeling tonight? How's Aaron Rodgers feeling tonight? Just a lot of questions. I'm not sure how it's all going to play out.
855-PATS-500 is the number here. Webradio at Patriots.com. Let's get to the keys of the game, Mr. Moreau.
You've waited all week for it.
The whole team's in the locker room right now just listening to this, waiting to hear what you're going to say.
Here are the Patriots pregame socials, keys to the game.
Because I'm on the sheet first, does that mean I go first?
You could do whatever you want. You're the host, Matt.
I think I'm going to do that then. And my key to the game was make it difficult in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. I really think that this is just essential for any kind of a Patriots win tonight. I think due to the things that Paul was talking about earlier, Rogers' seemingly uncomfortableness in the pocket, still trying to maybe knock off some of that Achilles rust. I think you need to pressure him. If you're allowing him to sit back and sort of pick and choose and do things like that, I don't think it's a recipe for Patriots success.
Yeah.
You've got to get pressure on him. You've got to make him feel uncomfortable. Make him get the ball out quick. That's a key for me for the game.
Keon White, get him off the spot, make him move. I don't. It seems like if he's able to just sit there and do what he still can throw the ball, like he's always been able to throw the ball. But I think it's a really, really good key. Get pressure on Rodgers, get him uncomfortable, get him thinking about things. It's a huge key to the game.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good one.
So, Paul,
put some heat on him.
Follow up.
No Hall passes, and I think I used this last year in this game. The game at the MetLife Stadium. I was going to call it the Meadowlands. I know Fred likes to call it. Fred likes to call them, the New Jersey Jets.
I like that
I think
too.
everything that they want to do, I think, is predicated on Breece Hall, and that's both in the running and passing game. Juwan Bentley, his absence tonight does worry me. Not necessarily just strictly in the rushing, but he's a guy that Rodgers is going to want to get the ball to quick in the passing game. So I think the Jelani Tavai, Raekwon McMillan, I would say the 2 safeties, Mike's boy, Jabril Peppers, Kyle Duggar.
Returning back to Jersey.
They need to, I think, be involved in the passing game with Breece Hall tonight, because if Hall gets, say, 125 yards from scrimmage tonight, I think the Jets offense will be looking good.
Terrifies me. He terrifies me. Breece Hall terrifies me. I think that's the piece that most worries me, mostly in the second half. And being able to stop him without Juwan Bentley. I think he's an excellent player. Had a couple touchdowns last week. They split him out wide, got matched up on a linebacker, went deep, made the catch over the linebacker. I think in the second half, if the Jets are able to get a little bit of a lead, they're going to try to lean into him and the rookie, Braylon Allen, who looks a little bit like Derrick Henry light. I mean, he's giant.
Youngest
kid,
player in the league.
Youngest
20
player
years
in the
old.
league. Huge running back, and it seems, another guy that had a couple touchdowns. But Breece Hall, to me, when Paul wrote that in his key, I'm like, you got the key, Paul. I think it's stopping Breece Hall.
Okay, Tamara?
Well, since they clearly didn't hear me last week, my key is the same as last week. Take it to the hill ×2. Last week, I thought the running game was good, but when it came down to the fourth quarter, Gerard Mayo said this in his press conference, there were a lot of hands on hips. There was a lot of fatigue, or it appeared to be fatigue, and he knows his team is well-conditioned. I think this one is going to come down to the fourth quarter. They're going to have to remember, take it to the hill, those long days in training camp on both sides of the ball, being able to make Aaron Rodgers force those passes, having to rely on just his passing game, not being able to rely on his running backs, making it difficult, no haul passes. I think this is going to come down to a game where the defense has to continue to be good at stopping the run, making the Jets one-dimensional, and also continuing to run the ball well on offense as well, because, as you know, the pass protection has been bad, and the Patriots haven't been able to throw the ball, which hopefully they are able to do that today, but I think both sides are going to come to taking it to the hill.
Do we anticipate, and it's Thursday night, so every indication would be the answer here is yes, but do we anticipate a low-scoring game tonight?
I do.
Usually. I mean, that's been the theme this year for the whole NFL, and
Right.
on a short week,
Yeah.
why would you expect otherwise? Unless some guys get loose for some big plays. I mean, Garrett Wilson's dangerous.
Yep.
You know, they can't let him get away.
Yeah. I think if, both of the teams are trying to run the ball, because I think the Jets are going to want to continue to build what they did last week. The Patriots are still going to want to run it down their throats. I'm hoping that the Patriots' run defense can continue to be stout, even without Jawan Bentley, and I'm hoping that the Patriots can open things up by getting the ground game going first.
Michael?
Yeah, so mine's a little bit generic. Let the Jets be the Jets. Like I said, I didn't really have a feel for it, so I'm kind of just hoping that the Jets are going to do Jets things, and that'll give the Patriots, a little bit of an edge. Whether that,
little butt fumble action,
little butt fumble,
Seeing ghosts.
Seeing ghosts. I mean, we know how it goes with this team, and I don't love my key, to be honest. I kind of was like whatever, but that to me, these are two very evenly matched teams, and I think if it comes down to the end, I'm hoping that the Jets are the ones that make the mistake. To Tamara's point, they're the oldest offense in the league right now. Does that catch up with them on a short week? Are the Patriots able to use young guys, young fresh guys like Keon White to get in there and get some pressure? But maybe we'll get a little of that. It's not magic, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Jets magic? I'm not calling because it's like the opposite of magic. But let the Jets be the Jets tonight. Maybe we could get a win.
I think
Go ahead.
what scares me the most with this one is kind of similar to the Seahawks of if you give Aaron Rodgers the ball back at the end of the game, it's game over.
Yeah.
I just don't see the Patriots defense being able to get that stop at the end of the game. But if the Patriots can burn the clock out in the fourth quarter and not have the opportunity to give it back to Aaron Rodgers, I think they can have a chance.
Mike, is this a different Jets team as you're trying to sit there and go, let the Jets be the Jets? I mean, it's a bunch of different guys.
It is. And that's a great point, Matt. And, watching the game earlier today against the Titans, it seems like they're still trying to figure out who they are.
Sure.
And, part of that is Aaron Rodgers coming back. And what is he? Are we going to be an Aaron Rodgers-led team? Because right now it feels like they really need to lean into their two big pieces, which are Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. And there's not huge production from the other guys around them. Lazard have some targets, but those guys haven't really been making the key plays. It's all been mostly Breece Hall. Got a little bit of sprinkling of Braylon Allen last week. Garrett Wilson. That threesome are the straws stirring the drink. So hopefully the Patriots can key on those guys and take them away.
All right. It's a small sample size, sure, 2 weeks. Are the confidence level in the Patriots taking away the Jets' running game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the running game is going to be a huge part. Yeah, I have good confidence. The Patriots can contain that. I worry about the other stuff that Mike is talking about. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall as a receiver. And I'm, maybe the only one on the planet, I'm concerned about Mike Williams tonight because I think that he's ahead of schedule. I read a story earlier in the week about he got more snaps than he was anticipating in the second game and felt better after the game. So I think there's a chance that Rodgers will throw a couple up to him tonight, and he's a guy that's going to win those battles. He's not Devontae Parker.
Yeah.
He's going to win those 50-50 balls more so than Parker did, and I worry about those kinds of chunk plays. So I'm worried about the passing game. That's why I think it's important, Mike, you said it at the top of the show, to get around Rodgers and make him uncomfortable.
Yeah. Because
I think that's a fair assumption, though, Paul, especially with what we saw last week. I didn't see anything last week in the Patriots secondary that would convince me that they were going to be okay tonight against another three-headed monster.
Very few people know the Jets as well as our guest right here as we go behind enemy lines, and we're happy to.
You know the view from New England, but what about the view from the other side?
And that's why you're our favorite pregame show guest every year.
You guys know you tell everybody that.
Oh, yeah?
I was on with you guys in 2018 Thursday Night Football,
Yep.
and I was told I was the favorite guest of the show.
Nope.
No.
Time now to go behind enemy lines.
It's coming right for us.
And as I was saying, sorry, I whiffed on the open there, Matt, but a few people know the Jets better and has covered the Jets better than our next guest from ESPN.com. Rich Cimini joins us. Rich, thanks for joining us today on the Patriots pregame show.
Oh, my pleasure to be with you guys.
Give me a little atmosphere and a little pulse of what's going on at MetLife Stadium as we're about 2 hours from kickoff, please, Rich.
Well, you're going to see a sellout tonight. Of course, it's the Jets' home opener, so the place will be it'll be electric. They'll have some sort of elaborate pregame ceremony with green lights once it gets dark. With green lights in the stadium, everyone will be flashing the lights at their seat that they're handed, and sort of like last year when they opened against Buffalo. But this time, you're not going to see Aaron Rodgers running out with an American flag during the pregame introduction. Just more of a light show and some stuff like that. But the place will be nuts tonight because, there's a lot of hope remaining in this Jets season.
Rich, just to start off with Aaron Rodgers and kind of the remade offensive line, what have you seen from the offense over the first two games with those guys?
Really good pass protection from this offensive line. I think some of the guys that Joe Douglas brought in have been playing well. I think it's a combo deal, though. I think some of that is due to Rodgers getting rid of the ball quickly. I think he's averaging something like 2.4 seconds on release time. It's one of the better, quicker ones in the league. So he's very difficult to sack. He just gets it out fast. The downside to that is their passing game has been really dink and dunk the first couple of weeks. They haven't taken too many shots down the field. I don't know if that's the way they're calling it or if that's just Rodgers trying to get rid of the ball quickly to avoid hits. But that, in essence, has been their offense for 2 weeks.
Rich, I'm curious, do you have an idea of why the Jets have been off to slow starts offensively the past 2 weeks?
Well, actually, it's probably been the last 10 years. They've not been a good first quarter team. I mean, last year they were historically bad. I mean, just impossible to move the ball. The last couple of weeks, it's something that Rodgers mentioned when we spoke to him on Tuesday. I think they have one first down on their first couple of series each game. They just have not been moving the ball. There was a drop pass. I think the play calling was really conservative early in game. I think the offense last week really didn't perk up until they went to more of a quick game. It started with some tempo. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out tonight in that fashion, just trying to get things going, trying to establish a rhythm earlier in the game.
Rich, I want to talk a little bit about the defense and specifically C.J. Mosley. Just if you have a feel his availability tonight, does he have a chance?
I would say not a very good chance right now. They haven't officially ruled him out yet, but they did bring up a player from the practice squad, a backup linebacker, which signals to me that they're not expecting Mosley to go tonight. I mean, if this had been a Sunday game, I think there would have been a much better chance. But just on the short week, they didn't want to push it with Mosley. It's a long season ahead. So it hasn't been official yet, but I'd be a little surprised if he were out there.
So with that in mind, what is your confidence level in the Jets' run defense? Obviously, he's a big part of that. He's been a great player for a lot of years. The Patriots have run the ball really well each of the first two games. Where do you stand on the Jets' run defense?
It's shaky. To be quite honest, it hasn't been good. I mean, the 49ers.
Yeah, we all saw the opener. Yeah.
Yeah, they ripped them to shreds. The 49ers have a unique running scheme, though, just with the outside zone. They attack the Jets' edges. The Jets' edges are not good. They, even if Mosley, of course, is in the middle, but their defensive ends do not play the run well. They have two good interior players in Williams and Kinlaw, but if I were the Patriots, I would be trying to attack their edges. They just, I don't know if it's the lack of strength or just eye discipline or whatever, but teams have been able to get the ball outside on them. So that is a concern for the Jets.
Rich, I want to ask you about Rodgers. He seems to be the straw that stirs the drink here. It's the Patriots' first look at him. It's hard to tell too much when you're just watching a press conference or anything like that. He just seems so relaxed and comfortable. Now, maybe that doesn't necessarily go onto the playing field when there's guys at his feet or everything like that. But I want to know what you think of him as he's now got a couple games under his belt and his comfort level with the way the offense is and his place in it and how they can move the ball down the field.
Well, to quote him, I mean, he said this season is like a nice, slow bolero, so quote from a couple of weeks ago. But he does seem relaxed. I think I don't think he's the same player. I think it's pretty obvious that his mobility is not what it used to be a couple of years ago. But, he is 40 years old. He's coming off an Achilles tear, so you have to take that into consideration. I do think he feels confident with the playmakers around him. I mean, the Jets have a couple of really good ones in Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, and then last week we saw the emergence of Braylon Allen, their rookie running back. I would look for him a lot tonight. You'll probably see him and Hall in the backfield at the same time. But, yeah, I think Rodgers is a good place. I think he knows that there's going to be growing pains for him and this offense early in the season. So I think they'll be functioning at a much better rate later on as the season goes on.
You talked about the excitement, Rich, and I guess I want to know from a Jets fan perspective, are they embracing this now, or are they afraid that like the other shoe's going to fall after they've watched Rodgers for a couple weeks? Can they get excited and think, hey, this is our guy, that this is the guy that's going to take us to the promised land, or are they still wary?
They're Jets fans. Of course they're wary. Of course they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. I had in the San Francisco game, the Jets had that one fantastic drive. It was, I forgot the exact numbers on the drive, but it was a touchdown drive, and it was actually longer than any drive they had last year. And it was just so crisp and well orchestrated. And I had someone text me during the game and say, this is just going to make it harder when things fall apart. So I think there's always that dread among Jet fans, and is he going to stay healthy? But I think just from listening to talk radio on the drive into the stadium, I think the fans are embracing Rodgers, and they understand what he can do at this stage of his career. They're just keeping their fingers crossed that he can stay healthy.
All right, Rich, why don't you give us a prediction? Thursday night, short week, Jets home opener. Who do you like tonight?
I do like the Jets tonight. I just feel like the short week, obviously it's really short for the Jets. This will be their third game in 11 days, so we can't ignore that factor. But I just think the Jets are a superior team at the key positions, especially quarterback. I do have concerns about their ability to stop the run, and I'm sure the Patriots are going to try to attack that. But the Patriots have issues on the offensive line, as I'm sure you guys have gone into great detail, with the left side of their line being out. I just think the Jets are better on the perimeter, more playmakers. Home crowd is going to be off the hook tonight, so I think that'll help the Jets. So I do have the Jets winning tonight.
Rich Cimini from ESPN.com. We really appreciate your time and taking the time to talk to us before the game. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, guys.
Thanks, Rich.
Enjoy the game.
So he brought up something I think it's probably the key matchup for the entire game, and he talked about the left side of the Patriots offensive line. Paul, correct me here when and if I'm wrong, but what we're looking at here is rookie Caden Wallace at left tackle, Michael Jordan at left guard, Andrews in the middle, we hope, Robinson at right guard, and Big Mike at right tackle.
That would be my assumption.
Yep. Right? From left to right?
That would be
Is
my
that what the line's
assumption.
going to
So
look like?
it's really one guy. Michael Jordan started every game. So.
Oh, by the way, hasn't been too.
I think he's better than the guy that was playing.
I agree.
Also, I think you can drop the "we hope" because Andrew said in the locker room, he's like, "I'm fine."
Yeah, I know. I just. You're right. But he solidifies certainly everything around him and is a huge presence on that.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, this is welcome to the NFL, Caden Wallace night.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something that Rich mentioned that gives me some hope for the Patriots running game, and he talked about them being vulnerable on the edges. And that's kind of what I was looking at, because I saw the bounce back against the Titans, and they have Tajay Spears, who's sort of a scat back kind of guy who could press your edges a little bit. But I think so much of Quinnen Williams, and Kinlaw is a guy who's got good pedigree as a former first-round pick. And, to hear Rich say, well, the problems have been on the edge, And that's where San Francisco really attacked them. So I wonder if the Patriots can get that zone stuff with Antonio Gibson, which was a little successful last week, getting to the perimeter. And I'm not talking about the broken play, but there were a couple of runs in the first half that Gibson was able to get the edge. And I wonder if that's a way that the Patriots can get some production tonight.
Why is Gibson so much better than Ramondre when it comes to outside zone?
It's quicker.
Yeah, I think that's really it. He's got some experience in this as well. So I just my question will be, can the tackles get out there? Can Mike Onwenu as a tackle, get out and really seal the edge? I mean, he had a couple nice runs, and I think a lot of the talk this week has been about Caden Wallace, and some of the Patriots fans are, I think, cautiously saying, like, well, what if Caden Wallace looks really good at left tackle today? Maybe kind of just crossing your fingers, closing your eyes, and wishing. But it is a huge opportunity for Caden Wallace. He talked in the locker room this week, a little bit about he feels like he's ready. He feels like each experience he gets, he's getting a little bit better, a little bit more comfortable. But still, to be thrown into the fire on the left side, it's a lot to ask.
I'm not overly worried about it. I got to be honest. I think he'll be fine.
So you mentioned Caden Wallace. We go to the email machine at webradio@patriots.com. This is Micah from South Dakota. To me, the most important and best case scenario for the Patriots tonight is that Caden Wallace shows to us that he can hold his own as a tackle. He has some talent at Penn State. If he shows that he has the potential to be a good piece on the offensive line, then that will be the best thing for the Patriots coming out of the game. Your thoughts, and Paul, I want to know, I'd like to dig a little bit deeper into your thoughts that you just gave us. You think he's going to be fine. Why?
Because I just think offensive lines are just kind of all in the same boat in general. There's a couple of really good offensive lines, and everybody else is sort of mixing and matching, patching it together, and figuring out ways to work around them. I don't anticipate him just missing assignments all over the place. Last week, I thought Vidarian Lowe was fine. I didn't think it was a huge breakdown. We all mentioned that Onwenu struggled last week. Yeah, he did. And there was some pressure, and I think there's going to be pressure tonight too. But I just don't think the game's going to fall apart because of the offensive line. I haven't seen a lot of that happen. And they have, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, the stat services that you and Evan live by have the Patriots somewhere 30th, 31st in pass rate pressure allowed.
Yeah, and the Jets are number 1 at that. So.
So there's going to be pressure.
Yeah,
no question.
It's definitely something to consider. I mean, I will say too, I think we get so caught up, like 2 games. It's not much of a sample size.
Correct.
To go back into all these matchups and stats and think that this is who these teams absolutely are. It's hard to go off of those things. But I look at a guy like Will McDonald, who's probably going to step in for Jermaine Johnson, who really light pass rusher. I mean, he's kind of almost like a taller version of Uche, but he's probably going to play some significant snaps on the edge tonight. So that's a good place to target. I like that matchup in the run game for the Patriots.
I think I've used the phrase sample size at least twice so far in 27 or almost 28 minutes. But having said that, don't we anticipate that the Patriots coaching staff watched the 49ers tape and said, look at the success that they were able to, make some hay here going outside. We've got to at least try it, don't you think?
For sure. And I think as Rich intimated, that's a very unique running game. And even with a backup running back, how many times have you seen it in a Shanahan coach team where, who's this guy? And then he runs for like 150 yards. So it does happen. They're a very well-coached team in San Francisco. The Patriots are still trying to figure this system out and install it and, day by day getting better and better at it. But, even Austin Hooper 2 weeks ago said we're still really running our vanilla stuff. So on a short week, are they going to be able to really expand out of that and get too creative? I mean, I'd like to just start with, how about we make some passes?
I would also say the 49ers have one of those really good offensive lines.
Right. As we're talking about a lot of time here,
you don't think so?
Understandably about the offensive line, Mike, let's remind Patriot fans, the Patriots have had, 20 snaps at least, where they're putting 6 offensive linemen on the field?
Yeah.
Who are we looking at here from a depth standpoint? Who would be your 6th offensive lineman when you want to do that in the game?
Yeah, well, you're looking at the 2 guys who they acquired right at the start of the season. When cutdown happened, they acquired a couple offensive linemen, Demontre Jacobs, Trey, as he'd like to be called, and Zachary Thomas. Thomas was active last week as a backup interior guy, but I would expect that Trey Jacobs will be the backup. Now, I don't know if they trust him enough yet to do that kind of stuff, and he's big dude.
It's a good point to bring up. Like last week, they also used Michael Jordan a little bit. Nick Leverett a little bit as a fullback, and then motioned him out on the Wildcat play. So I wonder if maybe they look at a veteran like that and maybe feel better with him in that role. But Matt brings up a good point because it is something that has been a part of their offense in both games.
Yep.
A staple almost. Is it a staple or no?
I mean, it was 18 times in the opener.
Yeah.
Now that counted all the kneel downs at the end, but they did it I think 7 times last week too, 8 times maybe. So yeah, it's something they want to do, and if you can't do it because you don't have anybody to do it, I think that hurts you.
Right. Let's see, webradio at patriots.com. Good morning, everyone, says Jake from Australia here.
Talk.
Just wondering if it's too early to crack a Bud Light at 10 a.m. for the game.
German.
It's 5 o'clock someplace. He can crack
That sounds
a Bud Light.
ideal to me.
It sounds like tailgating.
Time.
Yeah.
You know?
I'll allow.
His next question also, has anyone got a feeling that Brissett won't make it out of the game tonight?
I would never say that, but I would say that it's not sustainable for him to keep taking hits like he has. There were at least 3 occasions last week where I was like, ooh, is this, you know? We know in history the Patriots play the Jets. Sometimes quarterbacks do get hurt, and it alters franchises. So hopefully that does not happen tonight. But I never like to predict that tonight. But they got to keep him clean. He can't keep getting hit like he has.
I also don't want to
appreciate that.
Sorry, Paul.
I also don't want to keep watching him scramble. Like, he's not one of those mobile quarterbacks that you want doing that type of stuff. He's not the one I want to continue to see scrambling and trying to make a play with his legs.
And while I don't necessarily disagree with you, I think when the play broke down, he did a more than admirable job of really trying to avoid some hits, getting out of the way. That play when he went to his left a little bit and threw against his body and found Henry in a big play in the first quarter, that was a nice-looking play and an athletic-looking play. I just don't think, maybe to your point, he wants to make a living off of that.
No, I don't think it's sustainable.
Yeah.
I think Hunter Henry, like a lot of the success he had last week was from those improv plays. So it's great that he can do it. I don't want him to be a robot, but I also don't want him running for his life and trying to force things either.
I would say, though, that's an area where Drake May really shined to me this summer, was just his athleticism on the move, his ability to flick the ball and watch it go down the field. So those kind of things, eventually, down the road, I don't think we're going to be as worried about them as we are right now.
32 minutes in, and that's the first Drake May mention, Mike. I'm impressed by that. It won't be the last, as we're on the Patriots pregame show, fueled by Duncan. The international feel for Patriots.com and the pregame social continues. This is Dougie from Scotland, who asks, hello, mate. I just finished my work and have tomorrow off, planning to stay up and have a couple of rums. Do you think our D-line will be able to win the battle of trenches and make it into a game that the Patriots defense and special teams win?
I hope so. I mean, to be honest, I haven't been. I mean, Keon White has impressed me. I think Devon Godchaux, you know what you're going to get with him. But after that, I think it's been a little hit or miss. I mean, Daniel Qualley's playing a lot. He's not impacting the game a ton. I know they ask a lot of those guys, but still, him, Dietrich Wise, even Jeremiah Farms. I mean,
don't hear their name a lot, do you?
I get back to what they've had in previous years, and you had Lawrence Guy, and you had Matthew Judon, even though he's not really a defensive lineman. You had Christian Barmore, even like guys like Carl Davis. They just don't have those guys anymore. And not to say that those guys were all pros or anything, but I think a lot of those guys were proven NFL players. And right now, those guys that I mentioned, Jeremiah Farms, Daniel Qualley, kind of journeymen, practice squad type guys, getting their chances. But they got to start producing. They got to start making an impact, and to the point of getting pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Those are key guys.
So one thing that Rich mentioned that I found interesting, we talked about the Jets sort of got going a little bit last week against Tennessee when they went to a little bit of a tempo and hurried up a little bit. I thought Seattle used that effectively throughout the game, and it wasn't necessarily hurry up as it was no huddle, and I think that in turn kept personnel on the field at times for the Patriots, kept them out of we have a fly
I know.
flying
I'm
around.
gonna kill it. I promise. I'm gonna kill it. We're gonna sacrifice it in honor of the game.
So if you guys think I'm just like the old man, like waving at butterflies and stuff, there is a fly in here that's bugging me. So I think that might be something that we talked about. The Patriots, probably went to school
on them a little bit
on the production that the Niners had on the edge. Maybe Aaron Rodgers does a little bit more in terms of tempo tonight, and that I think that
in
bothered.
and out of the huddle.
Yeah, tempo in and out of the huddle. Not necessarily hurry up, but I do think that no huddle.
Yeah.
No huddle. Could be effective for them, and something that like that keeps like a guy like Gotcha on the field all 3 downs, and that's not what the Patriots want.
You can't mix and match.
So we want to read them all. Especially when they dare you that you won't read it. This is Katie who writes in, "You won't read this, but please forward to Fred in ownership. And the pregame show is a perfect example that they won't pay for a real humorous host. The show is not what it used to be."
Oh, man.
And so they want a new host. So we just want to make sure that they
I would sort
at
of
least
agree with that.
say that we won't read it. We'll read it all. We'll read it all. webradio@patriots.com, the address here. I think I want to go back to something that Samini was talking about when we had him on, and that's the Jets' running game. I think the Jets want to come out tonight and throw it. I think they want to get ahead. I think they want to make the Patriots play from behind and then lean on the run to just sort of hammer home the win.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Totally co-sign on that. I think any team that plays the Patriots should attack them that way.
And be aggressive coming out of the chute.
And the Mike Dussault, old school football coach from 1972.
Right.
We're going to throw
to score
and run to win.
Right.
Well, I think that means it could be a big game for Christian Gonzalez, who we've been wondering, how would he show up this year after his injury? And throughout training camp, I know people were like, is he really trying? What's he doing? Because he was allowing a lot of catches and stuff. I'm wondering, this will be probably a measuring stick for him tonight if they do come out like that.
Well, hasn't it been a measuring stick since the season started between Chase in the opener, Metcalf last week? It's a pretty good gauntlet. Now, most teams have those kind of receivers. Tonight he gets Garrett Wilson, you'd think. How would you say he's fared today?
I think he's been good. I mean, I he's the least of my worries right now. Again, he's played 6 games now in the NFL, so I'm not ready to anoint him the next great corner in the NFL. I love what he's doing. Tonight's a great challenge for him. I think, to me, the bigger thing is what Paul said, is who are the B targets. I think if the Patriots are smart, they're going to say, we're not going to let Garrett Wilson beat us through the air.
So do you double him?
Well, I mean, is it that, or is it the old double the 2 and just put him on, or let him man up number 2? I don't.
And cross your fingers that Gonzalez will keep him under control?
I think it might be a waste tonight because I think there's a big drop off, and I mean, I think everything Paul said about Mike Williams with his size, it's a little bit of a mismatch, especially if somehow they're able to get him on Marcus Jones. I love Jonathan Jones, but he's not too tall
size
either.
Advantage, right. Yeah.
So that's to me, I think tonight they're going to put Gonzalez on Wilson. I think Gonzalez will do a pretty solid job, but I think if the Jets are able to execute that passing game attack, as we said, it's going to be with those B guys, and hitting Tyler Conklin and those guys.
I just would be curious, will they do it? Will they just say, Gonzalez, you just take Garrett Wilson all night? Because they haven't done it yet.
No, and I
didn't do it with Chase, and they didn't do it with
tonight.
Metcalf.
Correct.
And I'm just curious to see if they'll do it tonight.
And I think just to get a little nerd stats here for a second, I did a little bit of a deep dive. Everyone's talking about the cover 2 thing. And a big talking point today, Mel Kiper saying they need to outlaw the cover 2, which is ridiculous, as you said. But diving into the stats, the Patriots have been a team, we've long thought of them as man coverage on third down, and they've really gone to cover 2 on third down and playing zone on third down and not trying to man guys up and trying to take big plays away. So does that let Gonzalez just travel with Wilson? Is that even in their repertoire anymore? Is that something they want to do, or are they going to say, look, we're just going to take away the big plays, we're going to play zone? I don't love it, because I don't think Gonzalez is great in zone. I think that it kind of wastes some of his talent because he's excellent at mirroring, and I think without Garrett Wilson, average size, I love Garrett Wilson. He was one of my favorite guys coming out, but I think that it's physical. It's an okay matchup for them. So Patriots have been leading the way, and they've definitely altered how they've been playing a little bit on defense, especially on third down.
It's not Evan Lazar, but Alan Lazard, who's got some familiarity with Aaron Rodgers. You got to watch out for him as well. 855-PATS-500 is the number. Pat from Agawam, let's kick things off on the Patriots pregame show, fueled by Duncan. Hi, Pat.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Pat.
Hello, Patty.
So at the expense of not repeating what I've stated during the week, I'll just throw something out there to all you guys, just a question. If we're able to take away Garrett Wilson, do you guys think that there's any way that, if we force Alan Lazard and Mike Williams to beat us, do you think they could do it? And unfortunately, I don't like our chances in this game. Just the short week, our whole offensive line is beat up, and man, much as I hate to say it, I think the Jets are winning tonight. But I want to get your guys' opinion on that, and just if you think the secondary receivers for the Jets can do the job. And I'll take it off the air, guys.
Thanks for your call, Pat.
I do, but it's up to Rodgers. Does Rodgers play, I think Rodgers would need to be better than he's been so far in the first 2 games. You know, like I thought he was a little better in the second game than he was in the first game. Is he a little bit better in this one than he was in the last one? I think, you know, guys like Lazard and Williams, and there's a rookie that I kind of like, Malachi Corley, who's got I think been a bit player so far. Yep. Mike has talked a lot about the 2 backs. They've both been involved in the passing game. There's enough.
Yeah.
They have that. That's a much more options than Cincinnati had in the opener.
I mean, to me, it's Breece Hall in the passing game. I think that's a mismatch, and especially when Patriots
Breece Hall is a mismatch.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally bigger linebackers, not quite those, you know, smaller kind of cover guys. So I would expect the Jets to try to isolate Breece Hall on linebackers, try to take advantage of those. I think he moves really well. I mean, Paul and I were kind of weighing, you know, Jelani Tavai stepping in for Bentley in terms of his role, but you know, when the Patriots get into man coverage and all of a sudden you see Breece Hall motion out wide and you see Jelani Tavai, Raekwon McMillan, you know, Christian Ellis, even for that matter, one of those guys going out with him, that's a matchup I would attack.
Christian from LA, you're next on the Patriots pregame show, fueled by Duncan. Hello, Christian.
Hey, you guys. Good afternoon.
Hey.
And good Thursday to you.
Happy Thursday to you,
Can you guys
Christian.
hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, hey, I am, as a lifelong Patriots fan, I am thrilled that coming into the season, I was like a lot of people. I just saw us kind of being a disaster and maybe fumbling around and stuff. But it seems like we've gotten something together, and I'm thrilled that we have at least a puncher's chance tonight, in that if we play, you know, not so much above our weight, but if we just play a solid game, don't commit a lot of unforced errors, I think we can, you know, go toe-to-toe with them right down to the end of the game. What do you guys think would be the defining X factor if you could pick out one player and say, if this guy does this, then we definitely win?
Christian, thank you for your call. I'm going to take that one first and say this. How about a wide receiver? Any one of them.
Can I ask what the Jets do?
I don't know that we know that yet.
No, but I'm saying, like, if the Patriots, you know, don't make any mistakes and, you know, well, Cincinnati puked all over themselves. If the Jets puke all over themselves, I think the Patriots can win.
Yes, let the Jets be the Jets.
But if the Patriots don't make any mistakes and they have a puncher's chance and the Jets don't make any mistakes, I don't think they'll have a puncher's chance.
Right. And so
I think that there's a lot of factors involved.
So let's talk turnovers. None through the first 2 games for the Patriots. They have fumbled the ball a couple times with some fortuitous bounces, but they haven't given it away to the other team. Last week they failed to take any balls away. I think in order to beat the Jets tonight, they're going to need some help from the Jets. They're going to have to force some turnovers in order to get a W.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not turnovers, but they're going to have to force the Jets to play poorly. Cincinnati was bad in the first game. I mean, turnovers aside, they played poorly, and the Patriots made them play poorly. You know, I think the Patriots forced them to do a lot of things offensively that they don't want to do. Yeah. You know, can they make the Jets look bad like that too? Then they'll have a puncher's chance, like Christian said.
For me, it's if you're not going to turn the ball over, you got to produce explosive plays to offset those turnovers. So, you know, there's been really no explosive passing plays this year. They need to find a way to do that, and that's I think how they can turn the page and get to the next.
So let's think back to last year, Week 3, this very stadium, same week. You know, it was a weird little play.
Pharaoh Brown, right?
Where they catch Pharaoh Brown for 50-some-odd yard touchdown, right? That's all it takes. And it was like one play.
Yeah.
And it won you the game. I think you're going to be in a game like that if the Jets, you know, just sort of play meh and you just sort of play meh. Like, it's going to be one of those kinds of games that if you can make a play and get some separation. To me, the first quarter is so important. You get a lead and play the game the way you want to and make the Jets chase all night. I think if the Jets get off to a good start, it's going to be like Rich Cimini said. It's going to be a packed house. They're going to be going wild. They're going to feel good. They're going to feel hope. But if they fall behind, that's a crowd that can absolutely turn on the home team in a blink.
So everybody's been talking about the lack of explosive plays, no downfield passing from the head coach to the coordinator to the players. Do we expect to see them tonight come out and with some play action passes and with some real determination to try to drive the ball down the field? Or do you think that that's like, look, our bread and butter, in order to keep this game close to the vest in the way that we want to play it, the way we think we're going to win it, we're going to have to run and we're going to stand by that and we're going to have to run?
Yeah, I just don't think you could come out and try to prove a point, you know, but just because I think, as Rich said,
I really agree.
Trying to run the ball on the edges, that's where the weakness is of this defense. And, trying to prove a point and throwing at Sauce Gardner is that's
I didn't say that.
I know. Well, you know what I mean. But they have a good secondary, and I don't think forcing a point is going to necessarily win you the game tonight. I think you have to stick to what you do. But to Paul's point, and that was exactly, you said exactly what I was going to jump in with. Rich said that the Jets always kind of start slow. If the Jets start fast, the Patriots get behind. We don't know what this Patriots team looks like when they get into like a little 10-point hole in the first quarter. They got to learn to fight through those games and to come back and to produce explosive scoring plays. So, maybe it'll be a good thing to see what they actually got if the script doesn't unfold perfectly, because the first two games, the game script is kind of unfolded to their...
They've stayed within a score.
To their game, and, they're able to stay within their game plan. But all of a sudden, if you're down 10 and you're having to throw the ball, spread them out, I mean, then it can get dicey.
Well, I maybe I didn't articulate it well, Mike. I don't think they're going to come out and go, empty backfield, 5 wide. But do you think that they will mix it up a little bit more where there is more play action and they try to that they're going to try to get the receivers involved in the game plan?
I mean, I hope so. I mean, that's just basic football. You need to have a passing game, especially in the NFL right now. So I hope they're more productive. I just would say don't be stupid about it. Don't be like, well, no one thought we could pass it, so we're going to come out and we're going to pass it.
And don't you feel like there's a chance that could happen?
Sure.
No.
I do.
Sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that it'll work? No.
No, I don't think they would want to do that.
No, I feel like they listen to a lot of stuff.
Oh, no,
I feel like they listen to a lot of the quote-unquote narratives.
You know what I'll know it, Paul, is if the second or third play of the game, there's a little dump off to Demario Douglas.
No, there's going to be a quick screen in the first series to Demario Douglas. There's
going
to be a concerted effort to get him the ball, and I'm not telling you I think that that's the worst idea I've ever heard, but that's kind of how I feel it's going to happen. Like, I think they have sort of responded a little bit too much to the noise with some of their actions.
Example.
Talking about we need to get the ball downfield more. Why? Because everybody's saying that? Like, that's not the way they're built. Like, I agree with Mike. If you want to start throwing it, like, downfield on Sauce Gardner tonight, like, to try to prove a point.
Good luck.
I think you're just asking for trouble. I mean, now, if you can dial something like like they've taken a shot in both games, right? If you want to dial something up, in some situation, see if you can sort of exploit Sauce Gardner's aggressiveness, and maybe work it against them, get a double move or something like that, I'm all for it. But if you go in with the mindset like, we're going to go attack down the field, outside the numbers, and, we're going to change everything up, I think that's really not what you are.
It's probably closer towards what you said with last year. We're scheming something up where, trying to catch them at the right time and the right play. And
I go back to the tell. That comment that Jacoby Brissett made, which I found really interesting when he said it. I felt like we had a tell when we had a shot play dialed up.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a shot at the coaches? Was that sort of a poor choice of words? I think that one of them came after the 4th down stop around midfield. That's a good time to take a shot. And evidently Seattle was ready for it. I don't know. Maybe they did have a tell. But I want to take a shot or two every game, but I don't want to get crazy with it because I don't think that's really in their DNA.
Hampton from Charlotte, North Carolina writes in, hey, y'all, hoping the Pats run it down the Jets' throats tonight. So my question is, if Jacoby throws more than 20 times, would you be surprised? If he does, do you think that means the Patriots win or lose?
Lose.
Yeah, I'd say they probably lose, but, if they fall behind, I wouldn't be surprised they throw it more than 20 times. Is
that the magic number, Mike?
Probably in the neighborhood, I think. I mean, it might be a little bit low, but generally speaking...
I'm sorry. Is that the magic number for a Patriots win?
Not throwing the ball more than 20 times?
Yeah.
I'd like to say I hope not, because I'd like to think that the passing game can be effective trying to throw the ball 20 times. That doesn't seem like a crazy number to me. That seems fairly low. But still, I think this team is what it is, and it's on a short week, too. You don't, again, 3 days preparation. It's not the time to suddenly be like, everyone's saying we can't do this. We're going to go out there and show them. Like, just stick to what you do.
I hope you guys
hope that the game unfolds the way you like.
Yeah, and the other part of that, to me, I mean, unless we talked about the big plays. All right, so let's just say you make a couple of big plays in the running game. Then you could win a game throwing less than 20 passes. I don't see a lot of teams throwing the ball under 20 times and putting enough points on the board to win.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, you're asking me just blanket, they throw the ball fewer than 20 times. Do you think they win? No, I think they lost. I think that meant they didn't have the ball a lot. The other team probably had it, got a lead, caused a lot of sacks, a lot of pressure. The first part of the game was wasted with the Patriots trying to run and falling behind, and then by the time that they tried to throw it and catch up, it was too late.
Webradio at Patriots.com. Miles from State College writes in, I'm wearing my Mac Jones jersey to the bar tonight. 5-0 against the Jets.
Oh, man.
Do you guys think Jacoby and the receivers can do something unexpected today? And Miles is asking, 200 yards and a passing touchdown. Miles also asks...
That would not be unexpected. So I think that could happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like 200 yards and a touchdown, that's a pretty low bar.
Sure. Haven't hit it yet. And he wants to know...
Last week they did. Yeah.
Who is the Patriots' number one wide receiver? Do we know the answer to that question
Mario
yet?
Douglas.
Yeah. I think Douglas is their best receiver.
He's the best receiver they have. Now, it's not, set in stone.
Yeah.
Like, Mike likes to talk about the one receiver and the
1,
X
2, 3,
and
XYZ.
XYZ and all that stuff. Mike loves that
What does
talk.
it mean? What does it mean?
But yeah, I mean, they what was it, 175 yards and a touchdown? Yeah, they could throw for 200 yards.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking about pedestrian.
I like this.
You want to tell me 350 and 3 touchdowns? No, that would surprise me.
Not yet. I like this email from Joe, who wants to know. He says, "Love the show, by the way, just so we're keeping track of scoring
Joe,
everything."
the man.
Should they consider not downing kickoffs, regardless of the depth, to give them a couple more chances of touching the ball to create some offensive plays or some field position? It's not a terrible question, Paul.
I hope we're not at that point yet.
No, I would not take the ball out of the end zone.
All right.
They're not getting to the 30.
Just asking. It's 6:51, which means it's inactive time, and that means let's go to Tamara Brown in our Studio A down the hallway. Tamara, why don't you let us know who's in and who's out?
Yeah, Matt, a lot of this is not a surprise. We knew that Bentley was going to be out, City So was going to be out, Vidarian Lowe out. The surprising ones is Marco Wilson, and then the new DE that the Patriots just signed. Chroma, I want to say is how it's pronounced. He is also inactive, but that's as expected. He just got signed to the team, yesterday or this morning. And then Joe Milton is the emergency quarterback. But this is a good sign because I think Mike Dussault pointed this out earlier. This probably points to Trey Jacobs getting some time tonight, who was inactive last week. And when I talked to Caden Wallace, about the opportunity to start at left tackle, he said, I think the vision that the coaches want is to be to plug and play anybody. And that includes not just him, but being able to throw guys like Trey Jacobs in there, Nick Leverett if you need to, basically swapping guys in and out at different positions, even if they weren't going to start there, when we were going through training camp.
That's, you look at that as we look at a tall task on a Thursday night short week, and you see that list right there, and you see that the left side of your line is not starting tonight.
Yeah.
Suboptimal. Mike, you want to pair some Jets inactives with Tamara?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say C.J. Mosley is out. He's been ruled inactive, so that's a
break
huge
for the
blow.
Patriots, right?
Huge blow. I mean, both teams missing their middle linebackers. They're kind of defensive leaders. Patriots want to get the run game going, not having to deal with C.J. Mosley. I mean, I remember Bill last year talking about him and just fawning over him and his speed, and I mean, just a fantastic player for the Jets. So that's a huge blow, especially when you consider what the Patriots want to do.
Tamara, life in football is not fair, but with Bentley out and with Mosley out, they do sort of seem to kind of cross each other off in that, with both of the team's defensive captains and guys in the middle stalwarts both missing the game tonight. That seems like, okay, that seems equal, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems pretty equal, and it's going to be all eyes on Raekwon McMillan and Jelani Tavai to fill that void for Juwan Bentley. And Raekwon McMillan seemed ready to accept that challenge. Of course, he was like at the expense of my brother, who I spend a lot of time with, especially in the off season. Him getting hurt and that being the reason why I get to go in and play. He was really emotional about that in the locker room this week, but he seemed ready. What has he been in the league? 8-9 years now. Obviously, he hasn't had a lot of playing time because of back-to-back season-ending injuries, but this is going to be a big night for him. He's going to get a lot of reps between him and Tavai, and so I'm looking to see if they can fill that void between the two of them.
He's been a pretty interesting story, Tamara McMillan, meaning, has shown a glimpse here, popped a little bit here. I love to say that, Paul. And then injuries, has never seemed to really get away from the injuries. This is a great opportunity for him tonight, Tamara.
This is a great opportunity. I mean, you're finally getting those reps that you have been waiting and hoping for, especially, he's been on the bench, hurt, watching the team probably from home, not able to travel. So now he gets to come out here and share those reps with Jelani Tavai. And I know last week he was kind of thrown into the fire. Obviously wasn't probably expecting to play much. This week, all eyes are going to be on him. There's no excuses to why nothing or nobody is ready. So I'm hoping he has a great game because you're filling big shoes, not only with Jelani Tavai, but also as a whole. You have to stop this run between Breland Allen and Breece Hall, and it's going to be a big challenge for these guys who haven't had a lot of reps.
Great stuff, Tamara. Thank you very much. We're just getting started here, a little over an hour and 20 minutes before kickoff at MetLife Stadium. We will continue with the pregame social in a minute. That pregame social, though, is fueled by Duncan, and here's a question for the crowd. If your team runs on their fans, what do the fans run on? When you kick off your day with Duncan, we're with you all the way to the end zone. Make a run to Duncan, official coffee run of the New England Patriots. We'll be back right after this.
Your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes.
Oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes.
Oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
when someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes.
Oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx, and with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com. Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Matt Smith.
And we're back with the Patriots pregame show fueled by Dunkin'. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. I think we had a mate from Australia said he was cracking one at 10 o'clock in the morning to get ready for the game. Good for
I did
him.
that many times in California
Love
on
it.
Pacific Standard Time.
Good
Love
night,
it.
mate.
855-PATS-500, the number. Let's go to Booker in New York. Booker in New York. You're next on Patriots pregame.
Hello?
Hi, Booker.
Hey, Booker.
So, I think the game is going to come down to the trenches, and it's going to be running from both sides of the ball.
I like it. Who do you like tonight, Booker? Are you a Ramondre Stevenson guy, or what about Breece Hall?
I'm looking at Gonzalez, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
From New York, Booker, are you a Jets fan?
No. I'm
Okay.
a Pats fan all the way.
That'll way,
right.
Booker. That'll way to be. Booker,
how we
thank
like
you very
it.
much for your phone call.
Thanks, Booker.
Um,
Love when the kids call in.
Yeah, I do. Mike, one of the things we talked about is we're going a deep dive into the inactive list, and that's the cornerbacks. And Marco Wilson, scratch.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I go back to training camp, and it was really they were searching between Alex Austin and Marco Wilson, and whether, depending on what day it was, one of those guys would get the chance. And a lot of times you'd see them, Jonathan Jones was getting rest. They'd put those guys in with Gonzalez and Marcus Jones, and no one ever really separated themselves. It was kind of, I think even Gerard Mayo said at one point, depends on the day. And Marco Wilson kind of got the nod through the first two games. And he had 2 pass interference penalties, a big one last week on third down that, it renewed them and kept them going. I think they eventually scored a touchdown. So interesting, just an interesting move. Alex Austin going to get a chance. Alex Austin's got a little bit of size. We talked about the lack of size maybe in the cornerback group. So maybe that's part of it, but it seems like today Alex Austin going to get a chance. You just hate when your third outside corner, maybe technically your fourth corner, but he gets in there for a snap, a third and long kind of thing, and he's going to get targeted, and then he either gives up the catch or gives up a penalty. So watch for Aaron Rodgers to maybe try to exploit Alex Austin or at least challenge him early on.
So this is Alex Austin's opportunity.
Yeah, and I think he's played a little bit here and there. I'm not sure exactly the snap totals, but he had some promising play last year, and I mean he's still I think this is just his second year still. He's still a young kid. Had an interception last year. I remember coming into the team late. So opportunity for him, no doubt. Guys down the depth chart a little bit. Alan Lazard, maybe he gets stuck on him from time to time, but overall I would expect Patriots are probably going to go heavy. I don't know if they're going to be playing a ton of multi-corners, especially with the safeties that they have with Jalen Hawkins is pretty good third safety, I should say. So we'll see how it all plays out, but definitely something for the Jets to think about with Alex Austin out there.
Webradio at Patriots.com, and Jeffrey from Canada writes in, I'm going to be honest, the only thing that gets me excited for this game is the very slim chance that in some way, somehow, Drake May gets to play. Another emailer had said earlier, which I didn't read on the air, he doesn't think that there's going to be a lot to worry about when May plays, because if Brissett is going to continue to get creamed like he has, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
So he thinks without May that the Patriots are going to get embarrassed. I would disagree with that, but let's talk about the May watch. Yeah. And it's not this week, obviously, but it is the proverbial next man up, and he's only one play away, and we've seen through the first 2 weeks that play might be around sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think the key stat we talked about on Unfiltered this week that Evan Lazar had was that Jacoby Brissett, I think, has 1 turnover-worthy play, and he has no explosive plays. So that right there is essentially net neutral. I don't want to say net neutral. It might be a little bit below net neutral because of the 1 turnover-worthy play, but no turnovers yet. For me, I think if it's, and we talk about injuries, but if it's not that, it's going to be interceptions and turnovers. If those start happening for Jacoby Brissett and then it becomes not net neutral anymore, I think that's when you'll start to hear the drum beat for Drake May a little bit more. One more point on it, though. Last week we heard about what his first week was like behind the scenes, and it sounds like the team is still making a lot of effort to get him ready,
committed to the
prepared.
plan.
They're not, he's not an afterthought in practice. He's getting reps. So everybody knows it's eventually going to go to Drake May. I think it's just a question of how. And for me, it's the most likely mode right now is either injuries or Jacoby Brissett starts to become a turnover machine. and doesn't produce explosive plays, like I said, that's probably when you got to start to think about it.
So they haven't turned it over in the first 2 weeks, Mike, and I think part of that is also with the coaching staff. And to me, a really good example of that is the infamous play calling after the Gibson run that got him first down at the 25, 4:40 left to go in the game. They went really conservative there, where I think Seattle might have been on their heels. And you wonder if that was a chance maybe to take a shot.
Yeah.
They were playing the clock and the Seahawks at that point in time, and I'm curious, were they trying not to lose, rather letting Jacoby maybe be a little aggressive at that point in time?
Yeah, I mean, and I also would flash up the performance, the play calling at the end of the first half, where it was a run and then 2 throws that stopped the clock. You give the ball back. It was just, I mean, let's call it what it is. It was kind of poor management, poor clock management. You enabled Seattle to get 3 points. We know what a big swing that can be when you have a possession at the end of the first half, and then you get the ball back at the second half. So look, I think this is a new coaching staff. This is Alex Van Pelt's first time, so I think there is a little bit of room for learning.
Sure.
Knowing when to be aggressive, knowing when to say, let's just get out of this half without giving the ball back to them. So hopefully we see some strides today, but I think we're all looking for some shots today. A couple big plays would really be what the doctor ordered.
Webradio at Patriots.com, as is Al from Dripping Springs, Texas. Not going to lie to you, haven't heard that town before. Hey, you all love the show. Why are we not seeing any quick slants? Slants to Edelman, Welker, Amendola were a staple in the Patriots offense. It seems to me it would get the ball in Jacoby's hands quickly. Do you think Pop Douglas would have success with slants?
Yeah.
And I do think all of us on the other side, those of us not in the game, not in the meeting room, not with the coaching staff, I think we've heard a lot of that this week, Mike.
Yeah, I think the quick game has really been more about the tight ends, and I agree. It seems like there'll be some layup plays there if they're able to get them with some slants inside. I mean, even with Jalen Poku, I think, just has some quick, explosive ability to separate quickly. Would like to see them take advantage of it. We're pondering all week why, can't Jacoby seem to find Pop Douglas? And I mean, even Jacoby this summer said, kind of getting used to throwing to a smaller guy like him. He's not really used to it, and which is weird to me because it doesn't really occur to you that, throwing to a guy, whether he's up big or little, if he's open, he should be open. But clearly that's something they're still working through. But any attempt you can get to just get these guys involved. I remember a couple weeks ago, Brady talking about, I forget where it was. He talks everywhere now, right, Matt? Like you can't
He's
turn
available.
it on.
He's available.
You can't not see a Tom Brady thing. I love it. But just talking about the importance of getting guys involved early and, especially receivers, especially guys who have an ego, they want to play. I mean, you just look at, even watching Pop Douglas run motions, and it's like, man, it's got to be exhausting to be running motions, run and go routes. That's what Brady pointed out was these guys are doing a lot of work when the ball isn't even coming their way. You need to get the ball to them. You need to make them feel that they're involved. So I would expect they'll do some of that tonight. Probably there's a fine line, though, between getting them involved and trying to force the issue too much. So hopefully they can walk that line.
And our colleague doing one of his shows right now, I think, disagrees with us, Mike, but I couldn't agree with you more. I don't think they're coming out 5 wide and chuck and duck. That's not a prescription for success for them. I don't think that they're listening to nitwit radio or the fans or anything like that. But I think when Gerard Mayo comes out and says that, I think it's a critical eye towards himself because the buck stops with him. Yeah, we need to get these guys more involved. And what easier way to do that than a couple of bubble screens?
Yeah.
Maybe a slant here or there. Maybe those are chain movers that they get going on. That opens up the play action a little bit, and I think just makes their offense a whole heck of a lot less predictable. I'd expect to see some of that tonight.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's the next great frontier for this offense to try to tackle is getting their passing game going and showing some potential. I mean, the running game's been really solid. I mean, I think it's looked better than it did last year. I mean, certainly they limped to the finish line with Ezekiel Elliott, and Stevenson was banged up. They were kind of hanging on by a thread there at the end with their personnel. But, it's hard because you think they have an opportunity really to attack the Jets a little bit with the run game tonight. So I'd still expect to see a heavy dose of that.
855-PATS-500, the number. Eric in New Jersey, where the game is being played tonight in New Jersey. Eric, you're next on the Patriots pregame show.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Great. How are you, sir?
Good. So I got 2 matchups that I think have kind of been overlooked. Our linebackers and safeties really haven't been tested by a team yet with running backs that can really be dual threats, catching it out the backfield.
Yes.
I'm definitely eager to see that matchup, kind of see your thoughts on that. And also the wide receiver matchup, Jonathan Jones on Mike Williams.
Yep.
I really don't like that matchup. And then even Alan Lazard on maybe Marcus Jones in the slot. Obviously, we have that speed there, but just the way that I seen Jackson Smith abuse kind of Marcus Jones in that slot with his positioning. And I just think, again, we have that height issue with Mike Williams. I think this could get ugly, but I'll take it off the line, and I appreciate the thoughts, Jack.
Thanks for your phone call, Eric. Just picking up on Marcus Jones, I think he's been pretty competitive defensively.
He is.
Not perfect, but he's
quick. I mean, he can stick with guys. It's the size thing. I mean, Alan Lazard, I had to look it up exactly. I mean, 6'5", 227. So, I mean, as much as we're talking about size mismatches with Mike Williams, that's a size mismatch, too.
No
so
question.
You wonder that's going to be something that they try to target today.
I agree with your point, Matt. Sorry to just jump back in
possible.
About Marcus Jones. I think he's been really good in the first 2 games. I think he's been competitive in his coverage, and he's been very physical in his tackling. I think he's been their best defensive back in the first 2 games.
Right, but the first point that the caller made, I think, is the one that we've all addressed already, and that's Hall against a linebacker. That is not a matchup in the Patriots' favor.
No, and I think, Paul said, and I'd agree with him, that Tavai's a little bit surprising with his athleticism. I think he's made a couple plays in coverage over the last couple years, but still, I just think Breece Hall is an outstanding player, and that's a matchup I would be looking to test any chance I can get. Raekwon McMillan, Tamara pointed out, he hasn't played a lot. I mean, he was out all last year. Is he rusty? Is he ready to play a bunch of snaps? Are they ready to throw him in and play him a bunch? So I would certainly test those matchups, and the size factor against the cornerbacks is a big one.
Web radio at Patriots.com. Paul, this came in while you were out. Mike and I talked a little bit about it, but Johnny in Madtown writes in, I largely agree with your take that it's not in their DNA to be a team that takes more shots down the field than they have, but I do think it's a positive thing that Mayo wants to try to get the ball to guys like Douglas. I wouldn't mind seeing Marcus Jones on offense if they want to try to get tricky. But my question
I wouldn't
is,
be opposed to that either.
If they don't want to be a downfield-heavy team, this is the interesting part of the question, how do they develop the passing game in a way that complements the receivers they have and their skill sets? And that seems to be the $64,000 question.
Yeah. Well, the problem is Alex Van Pelt's system does want some downfield passing. He wants to run and take shots.
Yeah.
But they haven't been able to do it. And I think Mike is right. You think about those Cleveland offenses. And listen, I don't pretend to be the expert on this stuff, but just, your mind's eye. It's Nick Chubb, and it's seam routes to David Njoku.
Yeah.
It's go routes to Amari Cooper. Deep overs and crosses. Elijah Moore is a very gifted kind of slot type receiver, or maybe a Z.
Yeah.
He might be an X.
He's not an X. Cooper's the X. Hooper drives the boat, Chief. We got him to smile. We're getting
Who
there.
says we're not funny anymore?
Week three. Don't make fun of my host's sense of humor. So that's the way I remember them doing it in Cleveland, Mike, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like trying to take some shots. I think that's how Van Pelt wants to play. I just don't think they have the ability to do it right now.
Yeah. I mean, and the question is, how good do you have to run to do it? Because you'd think you
can't run any better than
up,
I mean, what are they, fourth in the league?
Still can't do it.
You can't run any better than
that's
they've run.
what's concerning.
It's the line and it's the receivers.
Right. Web radio at Patriots.com. Terrific emailer here from Travis in West Virginia who writes, hello, friends. Sometimes I think you guys overblow the this is how we want to play narrative. I don't think the coaching staff sits around all week uttering over and over about how we want to play. I'm not saying they don't have a game plan, but I think you guys talk about how we want to play more than they do. Maybe you can ask Gerard if his goal in life is to win 13-12. I bet he says no.
I don't know about the score, but I can give you at least 20 examples since the start of the spring where Gerard Mayo has told us how he wants to play.
Yeah.
We're going to run the ball. We're going to lean on our defense and be solid on special teams. He said it over and over and over. He answered a question one day in training camp about the new kickoff rules by saying we want to pin them down there, lean on our defense, and have our running game, and that's how we want to play. It wasn't even a question about how you want to play. It was a question about the new kickoff rules. And he answered about how they want to play. So I would strongly disagree that the coaches don't sit around identifying how they want to play. Now, I'm not telling you they want to win 13-12 instead of 21-20 or whatever, but that's how they want to play.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's part of you're trying to instill in your team. We're all on the same page. We understand how we want to play the game. This is our identity. I think it's one thing, though, to say what you want to do, and it's another thing to do it.
Actually do it. Good point.
We'll see.
Brandon Knight writes in, when I played quarterback, I want to bring in the Jimmy Williams, Joe Amorosino point right in here, right? Throwing to shorter
Little League?
Throwing to shorter receivers would sometimes cause the ball to float because you have to get it over linemen, but it has to have the touch and trajectory to fall to them. The taller the quarterback is, the less of a problem it is. Tom was so tall he was already able to see and throw over the lineman. I'm going to categorically disagree with. I mean, I don't think you want 5'8" quarterbacks, but I think we're okay here as far as.
What's Brissett?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, 6'3".
Yeah, 855 Pats 500. The number. Kyle in Florida. You're next on the Patriots pregame social. Hi, Kyle. Hello, Kyle.
Hello. It's Kyle.
Matt.
No.
You got an effect for me on that? No. All right. Kendall in North Carolina. Kendall in North Carolina. You're next on the Patriots pregame show, fueled by Duncan. How are you, Kendall?
Hey, Kendall.
Brissett is 6'4", by the way.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
That's real.
Kendall said
that was real. Kendall started talking, and then he just
and
left.
He dropped it.
0 for 2.
We never had that one before.
Good job, Good job, Hardy.
He didn't like how Matt welcomed him. He's like, screw this guy. I'm not talking.
Right.
Okay. John from the Cape writes, I appreciate Coach Mayo saying he wants to push the ball down the field, but I'd rather see them get the intermediate pass game going in the 10 to 15-yard area. Wide receiver been open on tape, so maybe he's one of those all-22 jockeys. It's a matter of protection to give him enough time for the deep passing game. Thoughts?
I just want anything in the passing game to be successful. They haven't had anything successful so far in the passing game.
Yeah.
I mean, even the 8 for 109 or whatever it was for Henry, with the exception
there was
of
one third down
that
he had
screen was awesome. They had a quick out where they kind of stacked Hooper and Henry, and Henry kind of ran off the coverage and Hooper ran off the coverage and Henry caught a third down pass underneath. Bang. Other than that, most of the stuff was kind of like run for your life, Jacoby, and there's Henry. We'll get it to him.
Yeah, I think
nothing in the passing game has been smooth.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe we're talking about the same play. I remember one just little in from Henry on a 3rd and long that they actually hit that was close. Maybe they didn't even pick it up, but you're right. I mean, it's been mostly the tight ends in the passing game, and you got to get the ball to your fast guys.
Touchdown. The touchdown was a good play in the pass. I mean, newsflash, Perillo said the touchdown was a good play in the pass, but that was not like, like the 45-yard run was a good play too. There's nothing about it that was like, other than just an incredible individual effort by Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
Like, you're not dialing it up that way. That play that they had, I think Polk lined up in the right side in the slot, cleared across and got wide open.
Got him in the window.
And Brissett was right on time, put it in the window, bang, touchdown.
Yep. Yeah.
They need more plays like that.
Yep.
Yeah, some demonstrated ability in the passing game. They can't continue without some sort of success there. Matt, let's go to the over-unders, please.
It's time for this week's edition of Over-Unders.
Do we care about? We want to let you guys know what the records are. Should I tell you and everybody else that I'm in first place?
Don't do
So I'll tell you that we all went 2-4 last week. So it was another tough week for all of us. But No Socks continues to set the pace at 8-4.
Right.
After his perfect week 1. I am in second at 5-7, and Mike is in last at 4-8.
Hind teat, as
Correct.
would say.
Oh, wow.
Correct.
I could never say that. All right, let's kick things off with Jacoby Brissett passing and rushing yards. Wow, we're going to combine them now, huh?
Oh, man.
Numbers by DraftKings, Matt Morrell. All right.
Yeah.
181 and a hay. 181 and a hay for both passing and rushing yards for Jacoby Brissett. I will kick things off, surprisingly, by going over.
Do I go now?
Yeah, what do you got?
I wish I could do it, but I'm going under.
I'm just going to take the over just because I refuse to take all the unders on everything.
Yeah, and when I say take the over, as we're watching the warm-ups going on right now, you see the players on the field, and there's Jacoby Brissett warming up. I say over, and I don't like why I'm saying it, because I think they're going to have to be playing from behind, which is going to increase the passing yards. Next, Aaron Rodgers passing TDs, 1.5. 1.5. Who's first?
I'll lead this one off. I'll take the over. I don't think they'll have a tremendous amount of success running the ball, so I think they're going to have to throw it in, and 2's a reasonable number. He had 2 last week.
That's you, Matt.
Okay.
All right, I don't know.
Over. Somebody's going to, I tell you what, by week 5 or 6, put a chart up in front of me so I can tell you what the order is. How's that?
I'll just tell you, it goes Mike, Paul,
That's
Matt.
fine.
Then
I'll have it down
Paul,
by week 7.
Matt, Mike, and
That's
then
fine.
Matt.
That's fine.
Did you ever do a fantasy draft on that with
Over.
a snake?
With the snake? Yeah, and I hate that. I hate that.
I'm
Over
gonna-
on Aaron Rodgers passing TDs myself.
I'm gonna go under on that one. Just try to make up some ground. Maybe they're rushing touchdowns. I don't know.
Okay. Next, longest completion either team at 35.5. Kind of an interesting number there.
That's
Mike?
a big one.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm gonna go under on this one. I think it's you got to keep stuff in front of you. Big plays, not coming from the Patriots probably. So I'm gonna go under on that one.
Last week, I emphatically took the under and got burned very early in the game.
Thanks, Kyle Duggar.
It's amazing. It's like Gonzalez doesn't even play. Yeah. Thanks, Kyle Duggar. I'm going to take the under.
3 for 3 on the U. 3 for 3 on the U. Next up, Austin Hooper receiving yards. Another interesting one that you pulled out of here, Mr. Marine Corps. 10.5. I think I have to go under. Until you demonstrate it, why would you ever go under? I'm going under.
All right.
It's a great number, DraftKings.
Is it me? I'm going to go over. Why not? Hey, we love Austin Hooper here. He drives the boat. He's our Jaws player of the game every day. So I'm going to take the over for Austin Hooper.
Yeah, me too. I like the corners for the Jets. So I think it might be another day that the tight ends are going to have to be a big part of the passing game.
Next is Joey Sly kicking points. And DraftKings has this one pegged at a very intriguing 6.5.
Does he get 3? Who's this? Who's up?
I'm going to take the over. I think he's had the over 6.5 in both games, right? So I'll trends. A wise bettor once told me you follow the trends.
Under.
Under? I'm going to go over. A couple field goals, a touchdown, extra point. Should be enough.
Yeah.
Okay. And last but not least, I think this is last, right, Marine Corps? 38.5 for the total. 38.5 for the total.
I think this big deuce last. Thursday night. It's hard to go
Tractor
over.
pull.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under on this one.
Yep.
Yes,
Clutch
I'm
it
taking,
mid-swallow.
Yes,
Sorry about that,
sorry.
Paul.
I'm going to take the under as well. Another wise man told me to follow the trends.
Who's this wise man?
Lost
Was
last
this-
week. The
was
game
this
went over last week.
Legal gambling advice, or was this like a guy on the corner telling you?
A guy used to work with the Herald. You know, when you're done, you go home.
That was it. He was also a sharp.
Yeah, probably.
What do they know?
Probably in this day and age, what do they know? What do the sharps know?
So those are your over-unders for this week. As we're watching warm-ups at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, let's go back into the Studio A confines and rejoin with Tamara Brown. What do you got, Tamara?
Well, right now you see Joe Milton having a great time. The jams must be great out there at MetLife. But what I wanted to talk about is I see David Andrews out here, and it just now reminded me of what he said about Caden Wallace in the locker room. When he was asked about him, he said, "I'm ready for him to cut loose." He sounded super excited about the rookie getting his chance to start at left guard in place of Vidarian Lowe. And I also wanted to note, too, I know we always talked about Jabril Peppers' homecoming. He's from New Jersey. He's super excited to be back. But Caden Wallace told me that he actually went to high school in New Jersey. He has a bunch of friends playing on the Jets. He has a lot of family and friends coming to the game to watch him. So this would be a great first start at left tackle for him.
Oh, it's a great nugget.
Yeah.
As you watch Drake May working on the, there you go, Matt. Those are the tunnel screens right there. He's working on, the quick.
So has there been some
That's
some
a tear
scuttlebutt?
screen.
Tear screen. There you go. Thank you.
Well, you'd have to see what the blocking would be. Serious.
No, seriously though.
What has there been talk about May possibly playing in this game?
Not that I've heard. No.
Not that I've heard. What,
Okay.
Tell me why.
Is it the
Why
black
do you-
armband?
Why
Is
do you
it
bring
the-
that up, sir?
The play sheet on his
I
arm?
had someone text me asking if there was any validity to it, and it was not a member of the media.
It was a
or
big
anything.
conversation on Patriots Playbook yesterday.
Okay, well there you go. So maybe it was something like that.
The Rook putting it out there, huh?
Okay.
No.
I have no reason to think.
I just
why.
would think that, like, you could make. I could hear an argument that would be stronger for virtually every single spot than tonight.
Yeah.
Like, short week, banged up offensive line.
Yeah.
Like, against that defense, to me, like, wouldn't make a lot of sense. But
Makes no sense.
It's kind of like throwing them to the wolves a little bit.
And I want to follow up something that Tamara was talking about when she talks about Wallace. And Deuce, you were in the locker room the other day. He seemed kind of calm, cool, and collected a little bit for a rookie. Yeah.
Yeah, he
which
is.
I thought was decent.
No, he's got a good way about him. He's calm and like I said, he's just a very likable guy. Both him and Robinson, the two rookies. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like he's getting to play, like Tamara said. That's good info about him. Some hometown folks, that always helps a little bit. So, pulling for him. I just wonder, is he really going to be a left tackle? I mean, they started with Paul. Correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm a little hazy. But I think like they started him at left tackle like in the early going of the offseason. They gave him some initial kind of time there, and then I kind of
he definitely played.
I
mean, I'm not going to get bogged down in semantics whether or not he started there, but he definitely played some left tackle early in camp.
Didn't last very long there. He just doesn't really look like a left tackle to me, but who knows? I mean, Michael Onwenu doesn't really look like a tackle either, and he's okay out there. So.
And I guess I'm alone in this. I think he struggles in pass protection, and I've noticed that in practice. I've noticed it in the small pockets that he's been out there. But I think sometimes it's a little better when you just sort of settle in and you're starting.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about
who's behind you.
Yeah.
He's it.
And I do agree with the way you guys talked about his demeanor. He talked about feeling more and more confident every practice. He feels like he improves every day. Says a lot of things that I think Belichick would be looking for.
So to follow up something with Tamara, she's talking about the offensive line. If that Hardo, is it Jeff Ulrich, who's that Hardo defensive coordinator for the Jets, the former San Francisco guy?
Is there a defensive coordinator that's not a Hardo?
Yeah, I don't think DeMarcus Covington is a Hardo.
Oh, God. Did you hear his first press conference the first week?
I like DeMarcus.
That's why I love him.
But in any event.
I didn't say you didn't like him.
Tamara.
Andy Hart is a Hardo. I like him a lot.
If you're sitting in your backyard on the big screen calling plays, you're a Hardo in a good way.
Thank you, Mike.
Right. So, Tamara, if you're the Jets defensive coordinator and Quinnen Williams is standing there and you're going, where am I going to put him tonight? Whew. Isn't he right in front of Caden Wallace and Michael Jordan?
Quinnen Williams?
Yeah.
No. He's in the inside.
Yeah.
He's a tackle.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Matt, is that I mentioned Will
McDonald. Wouldn't you move him around a little bit, though?
Well,
I don't know.
Well, he's not as good an edge rusher as, these guys are. Will McDonald had 3 sacks already,
so
right?
on passing downs, I think that's a little, it's weird because it feels like it ping-pongs to me. I think Will McDonald's a good matchup against Caden Wallace because he's fast and he can try to challenge how quickly Caden Wallace can get back. But in the run game, I like Wallace kind of going forward against Will McDonald.
Yeah, I think that's a key on the edges there. Tamara, you got something?
Oh, I didn't know if my mic was open or not. Hi. I was going to say, was it Cole Strange who actually got benched when Patriots played the Jets, and it was going against Quinnen Williams?
Yeah, that could be. I know,
I
Strange was in and out of the lineup a few
of
times.
When Cole Strange was going against him.
No, you might have that one exactly right. I listen. Quinnen Williams has done that to a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
DeForest Buckner is another guy that gave them a lot of trouble.
Big boys.
In the past, those interior guys. David Andrews has struggled with some of those guys too.
Sure.
Tough matchup.
Webradio at Patriots.com. Writer writes in and says, hello, Patriots pregame show crew. First-time writer, long-time listener. As I look at the NFL today, the entire league is built completely around the passing game, with the run game complementing the latter. Is it fair to be concerned that it seems like the Patriots are currently built the other way around? Stressing the run with the passing game being complementary.
I mean, I think this is pretty standard for this kind of offense. I think this is what they want to do. I mean, probably even going back to Mike Shanahan in the wide zone of, really trying to get the defense on their heels and take
You
shots,
could say San Francisco does it like that. They want to run the ball and then they want to throw off of that.
Yeah.
Regardless of how they do it, we can get bogged down and all that. They need to be more productive. And
that's the bottom line, right?
It's not
200%.
Yeah, it's not. They need to run the ball better. They need to throw the ball. They need to score more points. And it's been since the early part of the 21 season that they've scored enough points, in my view. It was kind of around the time of that Thursday night Atlanta game and that Wind game, the 3-0 game. They haven't scored enough points since, in my view, on a consistent basis.
How many did they hang on Jacksonville? That's when they did. Their whole team was out of COVID.
50. Right. When they had 27 guys didn't make the trip.
855-PATS-500, the number. Kendall in North Carolina, and you're next up on the Patriots pregame show. Hi, Kendall. Hello, Kendall.
We're going to make it happen one of these days.
Hello.
Oh, man.
I can't even
I'd
call him
say
Hardy
operator
anymore.
error, Matt, but I don't believe it really is operator error. All right?
Starting to get a little real. So
Yeah, Jose in Texas. How about you? Jose, you're next on the Patriots pregame show.
Oh, man.
Hello.
Oh,
Hey, Jose.
Hey.
Hey guys. So everyone on ESPN was kind of bringing up Keon White today. I see that he's doing pretty good, but I like what you guys have been saying. That only those 2.5 sacks. It's kind of. You think he's just going to go back to the mean, or you think he's kind of a standout player? Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the call, Jose.
He actually has 4 sacks on the season. He's played very well in the 2 games. I still think he's more of a power guy than sort of that pure edge rusher, but he is, Mike, he's shown a little bit.
He has.
In both regards, right?
He has, absolutely. No, I think he's their best pass rusher right now, and I would really try to, Matt, you talked about moving guys around to take advantage of matchups. I think he's a key piece today, and especially up the middle, getting quick pressure. We know Rodgers wants to get the ball out, so I forget what the exact number is, but one of those advanced stats was that Keon White's been getting pressure quick. So I think it's a huge key today. He could be that key guy that gets pressure up the middle, that forces Rodgers off the spot. Try to make him make plays on the move, or just don't let him get comfortable in the pocket. That's the biggest thing. Establish it early. Don't let him sit back there and think, all right, these guys aren't going to get to me. I can sit back here all day and pick them apart.
Paul, one of the things that you and I have talked about off the air is, while we love what Keon White has been able to do so far through 2 games, it takes him a while to get there. Like, he's not your instant blur off the edge kind of a guy that's going to get there quick. You're going to have to scheme him up a little bit, or he's going to have to overpower somebody in order to get there.
He affects the pocket.
He certainly does.
And I do think that he's been good. My thing with him, like, I don't want to get caught up in the number of sacks, because I think he's played really well. Yeah. I'm not necessarily going to say, like, well, he's got 4 sacks.
He's going to have 32 sacks this year.
Well, whatever. Sacks. Even if I'm not even willing to say like 15, but like, he can be a really good player if he doesn't get any more sacks. Like, that's not necessarily what I think his strength is. And to Matt's point, some of his sacks are just hustle plays where he tracks the quarterback down before the line of scrimmage, and those are valuable. Yeah. Because instead of the quarterback making yards, he's this negative plays. So I do think that he was pretty good. I thought he was better in the Seattle game than he was in the Cincinnati game in terms of getting to the quarterback quicker.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a guy that Mike and I have we've been kind of holding out. We were waiting to see more. I think we've seen more.
Yeah. No, definitely. And like I said before, it was just because you're not focusing on a guy, you're not watching the one-on-ones. A lot of people, really focused on Keon White on the one-on-ones this summer, and we're really high on him. I didn't see it initially, and so I want to. I mean, I love the defense, and I love a guy who can affect the passer and do what he does, a number of things, moving all up and down the line. I mean, it's you're kind of imagining what he will be like with Barmore. I mean, those 2 guys inside, you're really cooking with gas then, and then you put an outside edge rusher that can really challenge the edge, which I don't think they have. I mean, O'Shane Zimenez went on IR. He hadn't really done much anyway, but haven't seen much out of Josh Uche. I know he's another guy that some of the stats Paul and I were talking about, point to him being effective so far. I haven't really seen him be effective.
You know what's funny about Zimenez is I didn't really notice him at all in the training camp practices, and it seemed like a lot of days people were highlighting him. Yeah. And then I didn't really notice him much in the preseason games, and I didn't notice him get hurt either.
I didn't either. No.
I didn't even know he was on the field.
Yeah.
I feel like for some reason I just have not seen that guy at all.
Me neither.
And now, obviously
I think he was mostly special teams kind of guy. Uche backup. That's the role he's been in. So the new, Tamara mentioned the new guy that they just got. He's not active, but they're scrambling for some depth there on the edge.
Didn't Ox wear 93?
Yes.
That's what I noticed. I was offended that 93 was given to a pedestrian player.
Oh, okay. Are you? I mean,
are there any other numbers that you?
Are you, in all seriousness, one of those guys that you get I mean, can we take 12 out of this equation?
I don't think Matt Smith should be wearing 87.
Okay, so you have a lot of those numbers?
Yeah. Not a lot, but I would say that let's see more. Let's see some other numbers be worn before we get to Seymour and Gronk. Pro Football Hall of Famers. How about that?
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it all. It's not the Celtics, for crying out loud.
I got this thing on Twitter. This Kevin Gallagher guy on Twitter. He puts up a ton of old old-time NFL highlights, and, it's right up my alley. They have the first ever primetime meeting between the Patriots and the Jets, October 18th, 1976.
Oh.
Here at Schaefer Stadium. Happened to be the first ever game attended by a young Paul Perillo.
Wow.
It was a
What's the highlight?
45-7 blowout win for the Patriots.
Oh, you like that.
I like that. I like that. Learned a lot of stuff that night.
Fights,
So
arrests.
I was 8 years old.
Were the toilets properly flushing? by
Learned
that
some
point?
new words. I had my father, my grandfather, and my uncle. We went to the game, and my brother and I used to switch. Like if anytime anybody got tickets to a game, Red Sox game or whatever, oh, it's Paul's turn. Oh, it's Rich's turn. So it was Rich's turn, but he had football practice that night, and my parents wouldn't let him skip football practice. And I went.
Like, how many people out there have that same experience with that old stadium? Because we talked about it a bunch of times. Like, you went to the old Foxborough Stadium to watch the Patriots in the 70s and 80s, and you were instantly, like, kind of traumatized a little bit by the atmosphere, by what was going on as you look out into the
So they had a
parking
chain link
lots.
fence underneath the stands, in the back.
Yeah.
And there were conservatively 50 people
locked to it.
The Hooskow.
Handcuffed.
Yeah.
To
of course.
the
To
fence.
a fence.
And,
Right.
and I'm telling you, they walked with me in between them. My father on one side, my grandfather on the other, my uncle in front, and they just they surrounded me.
protect
They're
little
like,
Polly.
let's go. And my father was like, Ginger's gonna kill me.
Web radio at Patriots.com is our electronic mail address. And Spee in Fresno wants to know, who is on Fred watch? Is someone designated to be there this evening? Because his concern is, if this thing gets out of hand, that man is going to need hugs and a new pair of pants.
He's got Evan with him.
I think.
Why the new pair of pants?
I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know.
Is he gonna? Whoa! I don't. That. I mean.
Did you guys changing
speculate.
this topic? Did you guys see Shohei got 50-50 tonight? He had two
Oh.
homers and stole a
Oh,
base.
wow.
So first ever 50-50 guy in the history of baseball.
What a tremendous accomplishment. Tremendous accomplishment. Phil in Coventry, Rhode Island.
I'm guessing
You're
that you're
next.
being sarcastic.
Absolutely
Hey, how
not.
you guys
Oh, okay.
doing?
No, come on now.
First time,
Hey, Phil.
long time listener. I was just curious, you guys think that Bakhtiari might be a little too old and beaten up, or maybe we could grab him for a 1-year deal and stick him for an in-depth player or something? And
Yeah, Phil, I do think
yeah.
probably that he is a little bit beat up in past his prime at this point, because
I don't hate the question, and at least
a
talk
lot
about
of
it.
a lot of people have talked about David
No,
Bakhtiari, and I
I
understand exactly what Phil's saying, but
or something.
there's a lot of teams in the league that are badly in need of tackles, and no one's signing him.
Yeah.
So that tells me that he's probably done.
Right, and
A lot of teams need tackles.
if he's
right
ready,
now.
if he's ready to play, how much does he help them? Does he get him through the year?
Yeah, my
what
guess
you,
is
that's
no.
what you're looking at.
Yeah, my guess would be no.
And he doesn't even get. If he doesn't even get you through the year, then what are we talking about?
No.
Right?
Yeah, and again, I'm not. I didn't have him in for a workout. I'm just
Right.
judging it on conservatively. There's 25 teams in the league that could use a tackle.
Yep.
And he's still unsigned.
Yep.
Right.
And Phil's right. He's not going to cost you anything.
Yep. We're watching the Patriots offense go through their warm-ups at MetLife Stadium. In their road white with the blue pant is back. I see Tyquan Thornton walking through the screen. I would put him as another bubble screen or tear screen candidate. Yes or no?
I mean, I see what you're getting at. I just want to see him go downfield. Like,
Okay.
I don't love running.
So you don't
him.
want the bubble screen?
I don't like. Well, no, I like it, but with like Pop Douglas, who can make some guys miss. Like, I'm worried about running Tyquan Thornton into the formation and into all the traffic and trying to let him bob and weave through guys. He's a straight line speed guy, and I think that's what you got to stick to. But as Paul laid out everything that they used to do in Cleveland with some of those shot plays, like that's it. Like, great, let's try to get Tyquan loose. And what are the Jets going to do with Gardner today? Like, how are they going to even employ him? We talked during the week in PU about, does it even matter? Do they just play sides and kind of let what comes at them, let it be? And we're not going to adjust what we do. We're going to force you to adjust to what we're doing.
Paul, what was the date of the game? You said it was your first game? As
October
a fan?
18th, 1976.
Right after 6 months and
So-
2 days old for young Mike D.
Wow.
6 months.
That's why no one likes you.
Bicentennial, baby.
Through
Let's
the
go.
power of the people
Bicentennial.
behind the glass, back in the tape room, let's go Matt Morrell, and let's fire up a little Wayback Machine. Look at this. Grogan rolling.
Oh,
40
left.
some odd. This is a touchdown run. This is like a 45-yard touchdown run. Untouched.
Young Paul.
Untouched.
Do you remember it?
I just told you what happened.
All right.
Did that not just happen?
Yeah.
Are you not entertained?
Grogan pre-neck roll. I mean, this is
Now you tell
this is
me.
76
You
pass.
tell
This
me
is a
those
good team.
uniforms aren't better.
So great.
Than the crap they wear now.
Such a great uni. Such a great highlight. Great job behind the glass. Chris, Nick, Matt, et al. Nice job. Grogan on the. I wouldn't mind seeing a little Jacoby Brissett, a.k.a. the Houston game in his rookie year.
Oh, yeah.
Little naked
Remember
bootleg.
that running?
Yeah, I don't want to see anything like that. If it was Drake May, I'm all for it.
What if it's set up? What if they set him up for it?
Didn't?
No?
And there's like nobody there to catch him? He can't run.
No. I said that earlier. I don't want to see that.
I have a trivia question for you. October 18th.
I'm not good at trivia.
October 18th, 1976, Patriots 45, Jets 7.
Yep.
I told you Joe Willie was the quarterback for the Jets. Who was the head coach of the Jets?
Oh, boy.
Well, it wasn't Weeb Eubank.
No, it wasn't. It was a very, very famous gentleman that Tamara, you will know.
It wasn't the great
That's
Lou
how famous.
Holtz.
It was the great Lou Holtz.
Really?
You know Lou Holtz.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
How many years did he do as a Jets head coach?
I don't think he made it through the season.
Yeah. Right.
Yikes.
What's wrong? We got to over here. He kind of.
Right. I don't.
The quarterback's scrambling.
He's like Ernie on
So
steroids.
spit all over my mic.
I don't think my Lou Holtz impression is
Yes.
very good. Let's see if Bill from Springfield is any better. Bill, hi. You're next on the Patriots pregame show. Hello.
Hey, gentlemen, how's it going?
Good. And ladies, please.
I was watching a video breakdown the other day of this guy saying that, passing production, yards per game peaked in 2015, and it's been on a slight downhill trend ever since. And rushing yards per game has been on a slight uphill trend. Do you think that has anything to do with the Patriots wanting to run the football more, or do you think that's more just defenses these days getting more keen to what's going on in the passing game and getting better at disguising what they're doing?
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate everything you guys do.
I think it's the latter.
Good question, Bill.
It's the latter, and I think it's 2019, not 2015. I think the apex of the production was 2019 to 2020, the COVID year, and then since then it's been on a decline, and that is the advent of the proliferation of the too high safety looks.
So COVID.
Who wants to outlaw two deep safeties? Is it Kuiper?
Yeah, it was Kuiper.
Jeez Louise.
So COVID not only ruined restaurants, but it ruined NFL passing. There you go. COVID.
It was COVID that killed the offense.
I will say though, part of it, and everybody loves to say like football is cyclical, and as defenses, they pass more on offense, defenses get smaller and lighter, and I always wondered, and we talked a lot about it over the last few years with PU, was Bill kind of trying to anticipate that and trying to get heavier and trying to take advantage of those things. It obviously didn't work, but I think maybe at this point he's saying, see, this is kind of the way I saw it going.
Well, isn't it?
But it doesn't work.
Isn't it him
If
trying
it
to
worked,
zig
I would
when-
give him credit.
Right.
No one scores.
Right. Isn't it him trying to be an outlier a little bit, as opposed going the other way when everybody's going left? He wants to go right.
Well, perhaps, but I mean, if you do subscribe to football being cyclical, I mean, this is
So
where it would go.
I will do I'll do my best name dropping here. I was talking to John Hanna, the John Hanna, not the one that you call John Hanna, Matt. He used to be around the offices a lot. He used to do a lot of stuff for our alumni
Mauling
association.
people, just running over people in the
and
office.
as you can probably imagine, Hogg was like very much
Hogg.
Yes,
You're on a Hogg name basis with John Hanna?
I was.
Sup, Hogg?
He talked a lot about these 6-man boxes, these 225-pound linebackers.
Yeah.
And he would say exactly what you just said. They want to lighten up the box. You just line up and run them over. And that's like he said, like it's going to be cyclical, and everybody's going to play defense like this with all these small athletes on the field, and they're not going to be able to hold up to the running game. Now, what I would have countered with had I not been super intimidated by him is, well, that's great, John. Like, you can do that, but Baltimore and San Francisco have been able to run the ball and score.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of examples of high-powered offenses that play that way. Those are two outliers to me. One of them has an absolute freak of a quarterback, and the other one has an incredible passing game to go along with it. So yeah, I like I said earlier in the show, you can't run the ball much better than the Patriots have the first 2 games. They're averaging 18 points a game.
Not a ton to show for it.
It's hard. It's hard to score that.
Hard way to live. Hard way to live.
Just real quick off of Evan, off of Mayo on the Sports Hub, his hit saying Jelani Tavai will wear the green dot.
There you go. All right.
The green dot guy.
I think someone.
Now,
someone
so
predicted
Paul,
that.
you said
Paul
you
reported.
used to hang around with Hoggy. Did you go to his farm in Alabama and hang with Hoggy?
No, I'm not as privileged
days?
as other people on this show.
By the way,
on a
he's
piece
not,
of straw.
not that intimidating. He's a great guy.
No, he was not intimidating.
Does he have a
at all.
rocking chair? I just
He
imagine.
does.
Rocking
And I've got a
chair,
great picture of him
piece of straw.
with in the sunset,
Yeah.
and it's typical Hoggy.
What does he raise down there?
By the way,
on his
Shohei
farm?
is
Cattle farm.
Yes,
by
himself.
Yeah, just.
He's right. He's not intimidating at all.
Yeah.
But he would just talk about you got to run the ball. It was like 1978 at all times in his mind.
Well, I'd say if anybody hasn't ever seen John Hannah highlights, it's actually guard highlights. You wouldn't think, but man, it's fun to watch.
That's an
Pull him
athletic-
up on
that's
YouTube.
an athletic player.
This guy who just
So, I
cannot
need to
wait
look
to
that up on YouTube.
Just look it up, Tamara, because
Which
this
one?
guy, John
Hoggy.
Hannah highlights, just of
Oh.
him running guys
Pulling.
over aggressively.
I thought there
just-
was like a specific play that you were talking
not
about.
a big guy, but just uber aggressive
Yep.
and just come like a freight train, a little freight train maybe. I mean, because how big is he, Paul? He's like 6'2", 6'1". I mean, he's not. Now you think of guards.
Powerful.
It's like,
If only there was a way I could look that up.
Now these days you think of guards as 6'3" is kind of the baseline, maybe but he wasn't a big guy. Of course, back then the guys were smaller anyway. But man, he could run. He was aggressive, and he's one of the all-time greatest Patriots. It's a fun watch if you check out his
6'2",
highlights.
265.
There you go. It's 265 as a guard. I mean, that's not going to happen.
Mike, as I
these
said to
days.
him, he's with no disrespect to number 56, and I think that's a decent contest between Hannah and Tippett, who's the second best Patriot of all time. And with a slight tip of the cap, I'd go 73. Johnny in South Beach, you're next on the Patriots pregame show. Good evening, Johnny.
Howdy. Y'all are giving me FOMO. I was thinking about buying tickets to that Marlins Dodgers game, but I'm on the couch and watching my boys. It's
Just the update. Shohei, 6
Um,
for 6, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs.
Wow.
Oh, have a day,
Wow,
Shohei.
have a day, Shohei.
I can usually get first baseline tickets for $90 too, but probably not for that game. Anyway, I feel like Rodgers has lost a step a little bit in these first 2 games, and a lot of his magic throws from the past would come from him scrambling a tiny bit.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if there's a way the Patriots defense can kind of, turn the heat up in that way and mix him up a little bit mentally and make him make a mistake when he would have scrambled in the past. And lastly, I want Hooper to have a big game at some point so I can call in and share my favorite Jaws Hooper line. I won't share it right now, but he has to have a good game.
Great. Thanks, Johnny.
Speaking today, I was talking to my doctor friend who's a sports doctor, and he just was talking about how hard it is to come back from the Achilles injuries. I mentioned Vince Wilfork coming back for 1 year after 2013. He tore it, came back, had a pretty good year in 2014. But my question right now is this Rodgers or from here on out, or is this just Rodgers getting comfortable, getting his feet, and when you see Rodgers down the road, he's going to be a little bit more mobile, a little bit more comfortable.
I think so.
That's
I think so.
maybe you're getting
I'll let you know when I make it back from mine.
I thought it was interesting. I think Rich mentioned earlier that he thought they were maybe, which was interesting to hear that for Aaron Rodgers, hearing them say I think that they were trying to just be conservative. Because with Mac Jones, absolutely, they were being conservative. But with Aaron Rodgers being conservative, it was just interesting to hear conservative and Aaron Rodgers in the same sentence.
I just think everybody's seeing the same thing with him through 2 games. And it doesn't mean necessarily that he's washed, but I think that's the question right now is he going to get that aggressiveness and that willingness to move kind of in the pocket that made him so great? I mean, he's just such a good player on the move, can throw the ball. It just seems like he's not quite there yet.
It's a long season, Michael.
Do you think he trusts his offensive line, or you think...
In time.
Yeah, I think you trust the line. I don't think you trust his health. And I think Johnny South Beach is right, because that's kind of what made Rodgers, was his ability to sort of prance around, throw off.
Prance?
Yeah. That's I think there's no...
I like the word.
I think it's the best way to describe it. I'm a writer, and I'm asked to paint a picture.
He's a wordsmith.
I'm asked to paint a picture.
You captured the spirit of the thing. He was
Correct.
definitely a prancer.
And he would, make all of these throws from different angles, a lot of times with his feet, off the ground even. He just special arm talent.
Yeah.
and I don't think that he feels comfortable enough to move around and do that yet.
Mm.
Now, maybe it'll take just, one time getting out of the pocket, getting hit, and he's okay, and maybe he says, okay, all right, I didn't break, I'm all right, and then maybe you'll see a little bit more. Now, I also wonder how much of it is just the Achilles and how much of it is he's 40.
Yeah.
Brady was outstanding at manipulating the pocket throughout his career. He wasn't so great at it in Tampa.
Yeah.
Because he had no interest in doing it anymore. Sometimes you just, you get rid of it and you take it, and you live to fight another day.
855 Pats 500. Boston Cream, you're next on the Patriots pregame show. Hello, Boston Cream.
Hey, Matt.
Yes.
I kind of feel like you coming on the show is kind of like going with Hardy from Trent Brown to Calvin Anderson, and I'm just kind of wondering if we can get some Vidarian Lowe out of you.
We're going to work on it. I appreciate the phone call. Boston Cream.
Boston Cream.
Wow.
That was harsh. That's going to make him cry himself to sleep tonight on his giant pillow.
It's all good. It's all good. We're going to ask Boston Cream to do it next week. How about that?
That donut is mean. He's a mean
How about
donut.
that?
Bad donut.
He's a bad donut.
Now, if it's okay, if Boston Cream's available, he can do the post-game show if he wants to do it.
All right, are we going to do this? Are we going to? Do I have to keep you off of Twitter?
No, I'm great. Webradio at Patriots.com is our electronic mail address. Colin wants to know, and we have talked about this. I'm not sure if you guys addressed this already, but how do you think Caden Wallace having to fill in at left tackle will affect their usage of tackle-eligible formation? Should we look for one of the practice squad fellas?
No. No,
to assume that
they
role.
didn't get promoted.
No practice squad guys.
But
were
Jacobs,
promoted.
maybe I think
sort
Paul's
of
thing.
But sort of practice squad guys.
Kinda.
Is there,
Yeah, they've had some time to get up to speed, but that Trey Jacobs guy's a monster. I mean, he looks.
Saw him
he's
during
like,
warmups.
Yeah, he's like
a big
6'7".
kid.
I mean, he's Trent Brown size, but I think Paul's right. Leverett, maybe. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a tackle. It's what they call it, the muscle tight. The muscle tight end. I think Nick Leverett, might be the option, but I just. No disrespect to Hooper or Henry. They're not, plus blockers. I think they fight hard, and they'll give you some seams here and there. But, when you really want to go power run, I think putting one of those extra offensive linemen in there is a good move. But, again, it's limiting because you're not going to throw to those guys.
By the way, I was not crying about that. If Boston Cream wants to come on in, come on down. Come on down. Matt, let's go to the Sunday six-pack, please.
This is the Sunday six-pack, so kick back and listen to my position. I'm itching to get the picks back. You better bring a big stack.
Go get a mix, Jack.
I came to win it, yeah, this is the Sunday six-pack.
Does seem like the week is flying by when the game is played on Thursday night when the Patriots are in the Meadowlands to take on the Jets. But we start with the Sunday games first. Paulie, it doesn't look like the records are very good on the picks. Yes or no?
We were all 3-3 last week, and we are all tied at 5-6-1.
That is mediocre. That is Calvin Anderson.
Mediocrity at its best.
Wow. All right. To kick things off, the 1 o'clock games on Sunday, where the Paul's Super Bowl favorite Houston Texans traveling to Minnesota to take on the surprising 2-0 Minnesota Vikings. The Texans are favored. They're road favorites. Paul, you go first.
I will take Houston to keep that going, but I am impressed with Minnesota's done. I think that Sam Darnold looks pretty good in a one of those examples of you get a good offensive-minded coach and kind of have a good system and a good scheme, but I'm a little worried about them being banged up. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, both banged up last week. I haven't had Hawkinson yet, so I'm going to take Houston on the road. Sorry that I just don't take, Kansas City and San Francisco to be the only good teams in football like Matt does every week. You have to do it for like 11 years in a row before Matt says, yeah, they're pretty good.
No,
I think Houston's pretty good.
I don't
think I ever called them a Super Bowl team, but I think they're pretty good.
I just don't subscribe to the flavor of the month club like you do. I will agree with you,
I just think they're a playoff team, that's all.
And say that Houston wins on the road, but really hats off to Kevin O'Connell, huh? What a job is he doing in Minnesota. He looks like he might be legit.
That's why I wanted a tight pants guy.
There you go. I'm going to go with Houston. They're still in the honeymoon phase with Stephon Diggs, so it's all going great right now.
Next up, the Philadelphia...
See how little he's being targeted, right?
He's happy now,
I told you.
He doesn't mind right now.
I told you.
Next up, the Eagles on the road after their Monday night loss is at the darlings of the first 2 weeks, the New Orleans Saints. Michael, I'll let you kick things off with this game, please.
Thank you.
Saints by 2.5.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Saints. They're playing really well. Derek Carr, I don't know if I'm buying, but for this early part of the season, hard to go against them. New Orleans.
I'm going to take Philadelphia to bounce back. I think they just have a better roster. But the Saints' offense in the first 2 weeks has been unbelievable. Generally, those fast-starting offenses
get figured out.
It takes them a little while, so I'm not sure that Philly's defense will do it this week. But they got to find a way to take the big play away from Shaheed. It seems like he's catching a 70-yard touchdown every
Each
game.
week.
And then Kamara is just like in the time machine. He looks like he did 3 or 4 years ago. But I'm going to take the Eagles to bounce back.
I don't have a great reason to select the Eagles with this one. That place looks like it has a shot to go a little dysfunctional. I know a former coach and his assistant were conveniently walking through the warm-up lines during the pregame show. Embarrassing. But I think Philadelphia will rebound this week. I just don't think New Orleans is as good as they've looked in the first 2 weeks. Next up, the Chargers, 2-0. Against the 2-0 Pittsburgh Steelers. How do the Steelers do it every week? Boy, is Mike Tomlin doing a great job. The Steelers are a 1-point home favorite. I think the Steelers, they've got a little bit of that mojo going with them. I think Tomlin's got things going well. This is a good spot for him. Herbert might be banged up. I know
he is banged up. He missed practice on Wednesday. He did practice today, though.
Couple days to see how that straightens itself out, but I like the Steelers maybe in that one.
I'm going to go with the lack. I think it all starts with the run. Let Herbert hand it off a little bit, make the throws when he needs to. They look like they're a new kind of team. It's Jim Harbaugh or John Harbaugh. Which Harbaugh? Jim Harbaugh seems like he's brought a little bit of a new personality.
I'm going to take the lack too. I'm a little concerned about it because of two things. One, I think Herbert is definitely not right. For him to miss a Wednesday practice to me is significant. And they want to run the ball, like Mike said, and I think Pittsburgh will be a little bit more difficult to run the ball against. But I just think the Steelers stink. Can we just fast forward and make them 9-8, give them the 7th wild card, give them a loss at whoever they go to in the playoffs, and just we'll call it a season.
Yeah. Good program. I wouldn't be so dismissive of them.
We'll put that one in the last.
You and Felger.
Do I need to get coached up on the acronym LAC? I didn't know that was.
We have the LAR and the LAC.
The LAR and the LAC. Okay, good.
That's
good to know. 4 p.m. game that we've got highlighted here in the Sunday six-pack is the No More Tua Miami Dolphins at Seattle, where Seattle is a 4.5-point favorite. Mike.
Yeah, Seahawks at home. I impressed with them last week. Geno Smith played great. Seems like they're buying into what Mike McDonald's selling. I think he had some success last year against Miami, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to go with Seattle, and I'll lay the points.
Paul?
I'm going to take Seattle too, but I think there's a chance that Skylar Thompson will do okay for Miami. I think there's a lot of weapons there. Curious, do you hold on to Tyreek Hill? Like if you have him in fantasy,
yes.
Do you hold on?
Don't give him up yet.
Well, I wouldn't release him, but would you bench him?
No.
I mean, when you have a team like me that I could win with my bench players as well as my starters, like there's decisions to be made.
There's some thought maybe into expanding. There's some thought maybe to expand the pregame show with it by another hour so we can hear Paul talk about it, because there's nothing more interesting than hearing people talk about.
I beg to differ. Someone's golf game
was that sarcastic enough?
And their NCAA basketball picks
and
are
their
also
kids.
Worth talking about.
And their kids.
I will take Seattle. I'm with Mike.
I was impressed by Geno Smith. I wasn't really impressed with Seattle last week. I think it's a tough spot for Skylar Thompson to be in, and I like the Seahawks begrudgingly in that game. Sunday Night Football, it's the Atlanta Falcons and their well-dressed owner hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. The 1-1 Falcons against the 2-0 Chiefs, where Travis Kelce's been a little critical about the offense to start. I don't see a reason why Kansas City doesn't go down and win that game. I mean, I don't think they're going to be tremendously tested, but I like the Chiefs in that one.
Yeah, me too.
I will take the points. I like the hook with Atlanta. I think they got a big emotional win on a Monday night. They come back home. And I think the Chiefs 2 or 3 times every season get in a dogfight and either lose or barely squeak one out against a team that you would think they wouldn't have much trouble with. I'm going to predict that this is going to be one of those games.
Air guitar, Charlie, had you already picked that one?
Yeah, I just said I'm with Kansas City, too.
Okay, and as we wrap things up here on the Patriots pregame show, it's the game of the night, the only game in town on Amazon and locally here in Boston on WFXT. The Patriots on the road, division game against the New York Football Jets, where the Jets are 6.5-point favorites. Mike?
I think the Jets will win, but I like the Patriots to keep it close. I will take the Patriots plus 6.5, but I think the Jets will We'll win something in the neighborhood of 21-17.
Yeah, I see a very similar game. I'll say 20-16. I think the Jets will win it, but I just don't believe in the Jets' offense to sort of run away and hide. So Patriots have shown me through the first 2 weeks of the Gerard Mayo era that they'll show up and they'll fight and they'll be physical. I think that will continue.
As my friend Mike Reese likes to say, it's not the schedule is when you play them. I do not like this spot for the Patriots. I think we're going to see some growing pains tonight, and I like the Jets to cover in this one. I think this is going to be a tough game for the Patriots. We will dissect and analyze it all after the game when the Patriots take on the Jets. For Matt Morrell and Matt Lepan, Chris Judge, Josh Davis, Nick Puopolo, Mike Dussault, Tamara Brown, and Paul Perillo, I'm Matt Smith. Enjoy the game, everybody. Go Pats.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.